be the 3rd place. Yeah, they're going to be top 5, but it's going to be the 4th or 5th place. It's never number 1. And all I can think about is reflecting back to even chapter 5. So many people have always counted Acorn out, but historically speaking, he delivers in the moments that he says that he's going to.
And what a day and time it would be to really show the world that they are winners. No better stage to do it on than this one here. I think the interesting conversation when it comes to contested versus uncontested teams, though, is as much as we know historically you want to be uncontested, it gives you the best chance of success. We've seen some of the players on the stage have unbelievable performances while being contested. Shark and Teeny, to talk about them, ooh, are they going to get surprise contested? What's going to happen there? I think even if they are, we've seen what they can do to some of the best players in the world while being contested at Wonkyland.
And part of that, I think, is also just building off of the fact that it's the time to elimination. Duos that are able to find those quick frags off spawn, they're going to be the ones that ultimately establish their surge off rip, and then they can just pick their movements after the fact. And that's what we really saw out of Shark and Teeny in day 1. Sure, game number 1 didn't exactly go their favor, but they tried to play it through a different method. The moment that they actually got up close and personal, we saw what happened after.
Yeah, and it kind of leads me to kind of like the next question about, we are talking so heavy about that first place. That's what we came for, $1 million prize pool, of course, but the 15 global championship spots. So if you find yourself in game 7, game 8, probably out of distance for that first place, you still have something to fight for.
Absolutely. And I think the interesting thing about us having 8 games here for the first time is we always, in a 6-game format, have this understanding of when do we start to panic? When do we have to really turn things around? When are the games really and truly running out for us here? At this point, you're going to just have to get a feel for it, right? You might be at game 4, things aren't going well. You still have 4 more games. That's a lot of games to start to come back and get some points on the board. And so it's a learning experience for us, it's a learning experience for these players, but the best of the best will rise to the top as always.
And we know the margin of error when it came even just the top 25 throughout the past 2 days of competition was you're realistically looking at maybe 1-2 lobbies. That's all that's necessary to fill that void and gap. But here in an 8-game format, top 15, the margin of error is that much slimmer. And we've already seen just how quickly paranoia can kind of ensue when you're suddenly realizing, hey, game 1, not for me. Games 2 and 3, all of a sudden, oh no, I'm at game 4 and I'm still not off spawn.
Yeah, and this is going to be kind of one of those things like game 1, you guys are talking about game 2. You know, Chino and Pablo, for example, a triple contested strip. They didn't necessarily play well in
be vital to success. They're going to need every
All of you.
from Germany.
an otherworldly experience, being able to compete against the best. You look to your left, you look to your right, you look across the stage.
Yo, it's your boy Damon Dog 84 back at it again with another YouTube video stream.
Looking to do the
Yo,
exact
sorry
same
for the
thing as you.
mishap.
I spoke to some of the players who are sitting at the top of the stage right next to the trophy. Some of them are saying, look, Levin, I mean, if we do well, it's not a long walk to go and pick it up. You don't want to watch another duo walk past you to lift that trophy up. You want to be the ones to look everybody in their eyes as you rise that trophy and put that crown on your head.
The first one is always so special, and granted, we have numerous Major 1 champions in the building participating in this competition here tonight, but everybody wants that moment of pride, the ultimate celebration, because you're not only confirming the trophy, but you're also establishing your seat for the Global Championship.
Yep, and I know we're still getting ready to go. You see the players on the stage, the stands. I even see a Mark on the co-string, just letting everybody feel that energy. And that's why I like these in-person events, because everybody can go ahead and type who their favorite player is. You can go ahead and be in those chats, but when you're in here in person, these players hear you screaming their name. They hear you being a part of it all. They hear you showing your passion and giving that energy. And this is that moment you guys have all been waiting for. This is Championship Sunday. 8 games of full Fortnite competitive action where only one team will be able to plant their flag at the top of that summit and call themselves one of the best teams in the world. Let's get into the game.
You've had your introductions. These players have now had all weekend, and they're finally ready to show us exactly how they plan to get the party started. So many off spawns being considered around the map, but which ones are actually going to build and which ones are going to depart in an instant, we'll get to find out.
We're already seeing Riptides. We knew it was going to be uncontested. Focus and Thomas. That is going to remain true. But one we know, triple contested. We've seen it back-to-back days. Sandy Strip. You see that right there. They marched somewhere else on that drop map. Already surprises coming out with the Yamzo and Josh.
Yamzo and Josh, we know just how key these guys are going to be as far as impacting some of the top players in this lobby. Reason and Noah, looks like they're going to swerve. They don't want the smoke on spawn. They want to give themselves a better chance of having a good first game.
And this is part of just trying to win the mental battles. You don't want to be immediately eliminated. If you recognize we got beat to the punch, we're better off just trying to establish ourselves elsewhere. But it's going to be tough working with sticks and stones. We'll see how they come back. Chap Flixie, another team in a heavily contested area of the map. This south section over by New Sanctuary has been very busy all weekend.
Yep, we're already seeing a couple eliminations right off of the board, and it looks like Flixie was able to get that 4 spawn. Resigns is the first one that goes down. Flixie already starting off hot here, and he's looking to go back-to-back and wipe them off spawn completely.
And a perfect start to the tournament. Quick rivals to get the momentum going. Not going to be an easy team to go up against, but that is how you play things out of spawn.
It's also going to prevent other duos from being able to immediately get that third-party opportunity. But Ritual, Agers, disaster has struck here in Game 1 at Latte Landing. And the issue right now, Ritual has nowhere to go. Reek, Cooper, obviously trying to hunt him down, but you also have to deal with the likes of Rainy and Nalu very close by. And so the opportunities to actually escape this north side position, they're just not there.
And this was already a POI where we didn't really need more Spanish thrown into the works. It was already a messy situation at times. They seem to come to a cool, but things are heating up. Not just at Latte, here at Battlewood as well. It's up to the young Curve to try and keep his duo alive in this first game.
He has to try to clutch up big with no shield already. He lands one shot, but it's not enough. In Game 1, the NA Central champions have just gone down.
This is not what they planned for. It's not what they prepared for. We spoke to Benno and he said we just need to, prepare ourselves mentally as best as possible. But no amount of mental preparation can prepare you for a shot like that, Taco.
King just came ready here today. Clearly riding off a little bit of momentum even from those matches yesterday. You get that Victory Royale, and what could feel better for the confidence, but Nalu, that's also going to be a big strike here. Ritual's out of this.
First and second place in the NA Central Finals this season are down and out in game 1.
And here comes the third party coming in, Reed and Cooper. This is the team we thought would be a part of all these exchanges. A surprise third party from Nalu and Rainy, but they're going to do a lot of the heavy lifting for Reed and Cooper. And I think they know that he's a solo, at least for now, so they're trying to put the pressure down. They're trying to at least get closer and closer to this elimination. It's not just about the points, it's about the Storm Surge as well.
Reed's definitely looking to chase this one down, but for Cooper, that's who I really got in the back of my mind. 2023, everyone wants to kind of rule that Grand Championship out from him, but the fact of the matter is, Cooper's here to prove there's a reason why he won back then, and he's still got what it takes.
Yeah, and they're going to continue to hunt. We're seeing the effects of Latte landing. Nalu, even when you think you're worrying about the players in the POI who you're trying to fight, there's always potential for someone sitting up on them cliff tops to take shots inside. Thomas and Focus, they're in a scrap here south of Riptides.
Yeah, this one's going to be tough. Even if you start off uncontested, doesn't mean it's going to remain that way. Akira and Karama are trying to come over and crash the party, but Focus and Thomas, they got some early game shots. That's going to help their early game surge, give them a little bit of freedom, but you can see that they instantly disengage off. They don't want to fight this unless they absolutely have to. For Thomas, for Focus, it's about the little victories that they're looking to stretch into a mile.
For Thomas and Focus too, they just know how this one tends to play out. Triple contested is just not worth it. Somebody else is always going to come into the mix. So Sky scrambling around. Battlewood Boulevard has just not gone favorably at all for any of our major champions for EU and NA.
And it looks like it was Yomzo and Josh that played spoiler. Scroll and Sky, they have played their game so consistently. There's so much footage you can go and watch to anti-scrap them, and it looks like that's exactly what Yomzo and Josh have done.
It seems like they're pulling out an old playbook strategy, kind of a teeny strat, dropping everywhere along the map, but Gino and Pablo.
Yo, why isn't anyone doing sky bases?
Right reason. It looks
I'm
like
looking
they're
at the
taking
loot right
out
now.
Kanata and Victor V being one of the only teams standing at Sandy Strip. You can see they already have that elimination onto Victor V, putting Kanata in such a pickle. They slide in, they take him out and send him right back to the lobby.
One of those moments where you really want to make sure you don't overheat if you are in Victor V and Kanata's position, but we'll see just how that changes up in game 2. Poyo and Peterbot rather take their time going fishing over at Squibbly Shores. It's been a bit more calm. We've seen so much action kind of hopping around the map, but Pete and Poyo, all they're really after is trying to see what else they can build.
And it's going to be a very pivotal game to see where Peterbot's mentality is at. We saw on day 1, game 1, he jumped into a fight too eagerly, got rattled a bit. It was the same story back last year in Leon at the Global Championships. Will he learn his lesson on the stage here today?
Alert from underneath. It doesn't look like it's going to work. That's Kiduo and Werix. They get pushed out. Mini Pio and Fakun, they're going to go ahead and take advantage and take control of all the pieces from underneath, forcing them further and further back into those tunnels, cutting off one of the only exits towards the top side of the map. And that's going to make him make a decision here. Do we want to continue to fight for the spot inside, or do you want to try to travel through one of those tunnels?
Camping out the teleporter or the porta potty can lead to some positive
That's a
elimination
risky spot
for
right
any
there. I
other
remember
players that
losing
might
right
be
there like
struggling,
2 or
looking for an
3
escape
times.
from contention
I do
elsewhere,
not want to
but
go in there.
it's still a difficult situation because when you're in the tunnels, other teams are going to know it, and they're going to wait for the moments that you start to leave.
Here at Frigid Fortress, you hear the crowd getting wild. Taco said it herself, go big or go home. And
Yeah, now
honestly,
you see,
coming
that's
into
what I'm
this
talking
one,
about. You gotta
know,
do
I was
sky
like,
base.
they could win. I'm not sure if they're my top team to win, but after Vico said it on day 1, I was a little nervous. You saw how he played on day 1? That didn't look like he was nervous. Now they're here in Championship Sunday, uncontested. Let's see what they can do.
The key with this duo is we know individually they will have great solo performances. If they can piece things together and bring that synergy, it's going to be a scary sight for the lobby.
Well, Kira and Karama, they didn't get what they were after. Trying to see they get some elims onto Focus and Thomas over by Riptide, so they ventured back towards Battlewood Boulevard.
Damn, those were some nice shots.
Remember, Sky Scroll, that was a duo that helped out Akira and Karama making it here in the first place, so it comes as no surprise that maybe some of those strategies might work against them here today.
Absolutely. That is always the risk when you're as successful as Sky and Scroll have been. Teamy looking for success of his own here.
Just kind of looking at the mini-map, wondering Where is Shark even at? It's almost like that Peter Bach-esque situation where he's lurking by himself. Maybe he's just trying to get damage here. Not a full elimination, but he's going to get an opportunity here as he turns the corner. One shot onto Demas, and that's what you call a little success. You get the damage and you just keep it moving. Finally, we see where Shark was at, on top of the wonky land wheel. No surprise.
You absolutely take that exchange for Demas and Dom. Some pesky little fly on the
I have
wall
to give it to
situation.
Aurora Sharks.
Shark
They got
will
the
be more than
good sky
chuffed
base.
with that
I know he's not a
45
sky base, but they got
I
the
think
high
it was a
ground.
great
That's
way
all
that
that
Shark and
matters right
Teeny
now.
split the responsibility of approach. You let Teeny do all the sneaking around, and you've got the bird's eye view off that Surge Tower, so you know that you don't have to worry about actually being challenged right away from a third party. Minori and Darkos, though, outskirts of the map. Liam and Jace, they had ample opportunity to showcase exactly what kind of fighting capabilities they were able to pull it out in yesterday's competition, but these are some big teams coming into play here on the global stage.
And these are two teams that we're going to be seeing interact with each other quite a bit today. Both of their destinies potentially tied hand in hand.
Yeah,
But
keep in
Liam
mind
and
some of
Jace,
these
Jace
players
in
still gotta make a
particular,
name
this
for
is gonna
themselves.
be
They
the
gotta get
toughest
some
lobby
very
he has ever
down
played in.
kills.
Hasn't played in a major final over in NA. But there is nothing more major than this summit.
I know we haven't seen the full map yet, but I don't like where that one's going. Up towards Wonky Land, up towards the mountain on the north, and this is where, if you're a team, Taco, I would imagine you're gonna have to start preparing for the end game and what's to come.
You think so, but for Yapko and Panzer, they're trying to see if they can shut out Nalu and Rainy from even making that approach. They want to see if they can try and utilize some of this early storm tank, but if they can get the damage done, Rainy will be dropped the moment that he tries to go for the escape, so that's going to be the first elimination confirmed here. And for poor Nalu, despite having 2 elims himself, things just got too scrappy, and now he's just trying to see if he can outlast where Yapko and Panzer are.
And this is clearly a big part of Yapko and Panzer's strategy for today. You saw Panzer was playing aggressive towards Nalu earlier when he was in Latte Landing. This is more of the same from this duo. And I would not be surprised if this becomes a repetitive story between these two duos today.
I do like this decision from Yapko and Panzer to disengage. Zone is moving all the way towards the west. You can just stay in front of a lot of the teams. You can turn around and do exactly that, what he's doing. Backtracking, getting surge, and just keeping it going in a progressive manner over towards the zone. But you got to be careful because it's not only Nolly that you have to worry about, it's Cold and Rapid as well towards Painted Palms.
Problem there for Yapko and Panzer. I don't think they realized that Cold and Rapid were actually sneaking about, all the way down from 4 fields. Paradise Palms might be beaten up here shortly, but for Thomas, that early delay from Akira and Karama over by Riptides has clearly impacted the way that they wanted to actually move around the map, and they are being held yet again by the same gentle mates. Akira and Karama realize focus is out. This is a solo. If we can get the additional points, all the better.
222 below the damage threshold. Exactly what I was thinking. You're going to need some damage to close that gap.
No, he risked it. Good ring.
Shuts it down.
A big wake-up moment for Akira there. Very fortunate. Karama did not lose his cool.
You just have to think that those initial shots from Thomas, they weren't warning shots. He was letting you know he meant business. The way that things have started to develop over towards Sandy Strip, a little bit of a slower move. Minori and Darkos are not trying to rattle the hornet's nest here. Chino and Pablo.
That's how we're starting today's highlight reel. It's going to be a fun 8 games, people. Sky and Stroll looking to begin that journey to recovery. Both players back in the game. Both players looking to put themselves in the type of spot we've seen them in so often. Up on Surge, good when it comes to their loot, trying to get some heals back, and a late rotation into the safe zone when needed.
Yeah, that's got to be a good heads-up play by Sky, not only to get his teammate back, but he able to get eliminations, but they're getting jumped on right now. 400 above. Stroll's trying to answer the call underneath. He's going ahead and taking a little bit of height advantage, not trying to give up any advantages in a fight like this. They're the only two teams this far out of zone. You see the Fizz miss. They're going to use it to disengage, but Sky turns back, gets one knock, gets the elimination as well. That Siphon is going to keep him alive.
I mean, you said they got jumped on. They were the ones doing the jumping. Quickly regained control of that fight, and now sitting in another dominant position.
That was all just about the recovery point. We knew that they were going to need some form of a comeback after starting off shaky. And now you get the reboot, you get eliminations to go with it. A pure refresh that's going to allow them to make this dead side rotation later into the zone.
Fizz missed with the shockwave. They realize, hey, we've already stayed a ton of time in the zone, rightfully so. Sky had to get Scroll back into the game, so even though they're above the damage threshold, they want to try to minimize the amount of storm damage they're taking so it doesn't become a factor later on.
Juice showing up big time here between himself and Badil. Everybody's been seeing it out of Badil, that's for sure. So many solo clutches, but Ju, you gotta remember, he's willing to throw some shots too.
Chino and Pablo. Last we saw them, they were chasing down Kanata and Victor V, the NA West champs. Now we see them 500 above the damage threshold, positioned well inside of the zone. But now Scroll finds himself in a tough spot. Sky is down. He has to try to return the favor, and he's able to take down LB Works. But the pressure is not slowing down. Multiple teams and players firing off in this direction. But the blessing is here, Taco. Scroll drops the slap pizza, and he's healing up inside of the zone.
I thought they'd have a chance to do a deeper west side wraparound, but it seems like they try to just cut straight to the center of that next zone. Too much congestion has now led to more problems.
And he'll stay alive, Taco, but at what cost? He's lost his teammate, he's lost most of his builds, and he's not working with much as far as the heals go. Scroll is going to have to bring out a solo masterclass if he has any chance of getting serious points on the board here.
Cold and rapid underneath. 96 above the damage threshold. We saw how messy it was at Four Fields not too long ago. They have to rotate in from the eastern side, and great damage on the Yapko and Panzer. They're immediately answering that Storm Surge question.
Problem now, though, is will Yapko and Panzer be able to even answer back, or will they just get lobbied? It's not just Rapid and Cold, it is the entire teams, all of them located on the south side of the map. And Yapko Panzer, they are down and out for the count. Free elimination there for Cold, and he's got to be feeling real nice about it. But now poor Liam, you hear the audio cue of these bodies being eliminated right in front of you, and yet you have to make that same rotate.
Fortunate enough that Cold and Rapid, they set their sights on that next zone. A long rotation they will have to make, but one that will be possible, especially if they can find the right timing. These guys ain't gonna worry about that though. Wow. Sitting in a pretty position to just take shots at whoever they please.
Get to see the other side of the coin, though, for what was happening. Yapko Panzer dealing with Vico Malabuka on top of Cold and Rapid. I mean, the ending was practically inevitable. Great shots from Vico Malabuka, and I know that he claimed nerves, but he also said to all of us when we happened to bump into him, I play best when I'm nervous.
Uh-oh, as we tune in to the Kings of NA, Peter Pot is down, Pollo's alive, and I'm not sure he's in a position he can even work for the revive. This zone is just eating him alive. The longer and longer he stays back there, he has to shockwave out now. Top 27, no placements in this game have been getting, and he's barely above the damage threshold. Pollo spotted out by multiple players towards the backside of zone. He has the farthest journey to go. Can he make it?
Pollo is no stranger to making magic happen on this stage. But here in game one, there is still so much top competition standing in between him and a good placement.
And Scroll is going to be one of those competitors, even representing as a solo. Reed, Cooper, will he be able to make it to their body loot? No, he's going to shut that one down. Unfortunately for Scroll, we'll have to close off the wall, and we get to even see where Reason and O'Reilly are trying to find some of their success. Cringe getting dropped, not realizing that that layer was already occupied.
The Germans are getting comfortable already in game one, and they're not going to stop. You see them moving towards the front side of things. They might even want to try and play height this game if they really, really are feeling it. Regardless, Reason and Noah are here to play in this endgame.
Wow, Scroll in the feed gets another elimination on the Ozone. This is one great solo run from game one to start to kind of build that confidence. Tiggs at the top of the mountain, Saya, Scary's there as well. Poyo finds himself elevated but taking damage. Everybody's gonna have a rough time traveling through this zone. Drew and Fadil, 84 below. They're feeling the pressure as well. Shockwave's coming out, but Storm Surge is active. They need 127 damage, and they need it now. They can only take about 3 or more ticks, and it's gonna be Ju who makes the play, gets the shot, and gets him above.
They can also hope that just one more player goes down, because even at the just above threshold point, they still just don't have enough. These monumental moments where they need to show exactly how far they can take it. But Rapid, Cold, doing a great job controlling a little bit of a less occupied layer, and they're always looking to punish the backside of zone.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what approach do Rapid and Cold have to today's games. We saw a surprise hype play from them day one, game one, and now a surprise hype play from Poyo here as a solo, looking to just use this position to potentially find a refresh, someone whose box he can jump into and get a refresh. Reason has gone down and Noah will quickly follow. The lobby is really starting to shake up here.
Through the fire and the flames, we carry on, because only one can be left standing at the end of the day. Vico, Malibuca, they're climbing up towards high ground as well. As soon as somebody
getting
realizes
crazy. They're all
that Poyo is a
trying to get
solo,
the win.
they're going to get the green light to go. Ju finds the elimination on the mini Pio, but instantly it's taken down. Not able to really utilize the siphon. They're all trying to make it up, but there's a new king on high ground. Pump has made his way above.
But Scroll just sitting inside his own box. He's not had too many instances of catching that breath of relief. He'll utilize a lot of his heals, but now Cold and Rapid, a duo as strong as ever. They've been hanging out on that secondary height for a while here, but from the front side position, Teeny and Shark have decided height is theirs for the taking. Looking back now, they've already overcome.
Uncontested has never felt so good for Shark and Teeny. We know what they can do if somebody lands at their drop spot. Let's see what they can unleash here. They already have the high ground. Teeny, 4 eliminations, and immediately putting pressure down onto Gino and Pablo. That second high team, Acorns, being forced down. Everybody's being squished closer and closer together.
And you can see on the lower side of the table, Dom and Demus, they're trying to establish something that will give Shark and Teeny a run for their money in this game. It's about these two duos and everybody in between who will drop down or fall into this trap. Cold and Rapid, they need to be careful now. The pressure is being applied and they can't handle this player right now. They need to get off of it, and Cold will do just that.
No other options but to forfeit on Hyde and Cold. It cost them everything. They're out of here. Scroll still as a solo. What business does he have in this lobby? 3 eliminations and so many placement points. He is racking up the count.
We are witnessing probably one of the greatest solo clutches of all time, but can it last? Shark and Teeny are finally dropping down. They know this game is so close to being finished, and they want to be the last one standing. Pressure on the Shadow and Virgo. Garam and Akira, they find Scroll, they take him down, they end the legendary run.
They have been menaces since the start of this game, and they will look to continue that streak now. Demus and Dom, they have control, but then they lost it, and now they've regained it again. Shadow and Virgo sent back to the lobby, and Akira will fall as well.
Darman Demus just here to remind everyone who's actually in control when it comes to the low ground front side. Chino looking back, Chino takes out Darn, just like that. Chino might be able to bring this one home, but still, as a solo, what's left?
Wasn't able to get any of the match, so he gets taken down from it. Shark, Teeny, the future is here! They take game 1 and put themselves on top!
It's everything that everyone has been waiting for, and the fact they came to deliver on the first game of finals, that's exactly what you'd hope for.
Everybody wondered if the young Shark would step up on the stage, and he absolutely will. What does he have to say about it all, Frankie?
Shark, your first VR in a grand final. How does it feel?
Normal.
It just feels like a normal day for you. Teeny, I know you've experienced this before, but what's it like doing it with Shark?
It's amazing, it's easy.
It's amazing, it's easy. You got the timing exactly right as to when to take height. Was there a point you thought it maybe looked too messy?
No, it looked perfectly clean. The game was full on easy mode. We pulled every zone and yeah, just one game.
Did you get lucky though when the zone pulled down the mountain?
Yeah, we did. We got lucky with zones.
Do you need to get lucky again though in order to win more?
No.
Okay then, Shark, I'll just ask you one more thing. Is there anything you'd like to say to this crowd here in Düsseldorf?
We will win this.
You'll win this, okay. I think Düsseldorf heard you loud and clear. We're gonna head to a break. When we come back, game 2.
Aurora. That was crazy.
100. I got hit with that roll. I'm popping a med bit. Wait, short. Got 6 build. No, back up. Wait, if you're mid play. 100. 100. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Fortnite fam, welcome back to the FNCS Summit. Day 1 of finals, game 1. And I feel like I'm watching a boop stream. Sharkatini come out and get a victory royale in game number 1. This is not a drill. This is really bad. Of course, it's really good for them, but man, what a way to kick off game number 1.
Saw Skyaz and Scary going up on high. The Spanish fans are going crazy, but look who was lurking in the backside, Teeny and Shark. This was a really important game for them to get right, because not only were they uncontested, we hinted at it earlier, potentially that surprise contestation, but they also got that zone at the end of the game. Huge performance from them when it mattered most. And I was on Bootstream earlier. I said, watch out, game 1, Sharkatini, they're going to win it. And look what's happened. So see if they can continue. I hope they can.
Man, sometimes it looks so hard to play competitive Fortnite. Like we saw a dude that was kind of just chilling up on the higher ground. Shark and TNA are seemingly like nowhere near in a position to go ahead and contest the higher ground. But the miss comes in, the overdrive comes in, and all of a sudden they got like 20 layers and they're contesting the higher ground. Just a super sick play for them. Happy to see the guys doing well.
So many duos, like so many duos, just had little things here pop off performances. I want to let you on a secret, though. Of course, Shark and TNA got themselves a Victory Royale, but they are not currently in first. Crazy. That's actually going over to Darm and Deemish. This is why we had to talk about them at the start of the show. Again, there's like, it's like, again, I don't want to use the word dark horse because that's not what this team is. This is a tier 1, up in front, in your face, triple digits after game number 1 team.
I mean, a 10+ elimination game felt like something we hardly saw in the upper and the lower bracket. And technically speaking, right, those lobbies should have been a little bit easier than the finals that we have here today. First game, the guys who were kind of calling themselves underdogs, the guys that kind of entered the scene just last year, are in first place. 11 eliminations, controlling, running the low ground. Crazy stuff.
Yeah, I just spoke about it for Shark and TNA. They needed to make the most of this game as well, but for slightly different reasons. Yes, we know they land towards that northwest side of the map, but in a different way they needed to make the most of this game. The reason why these guys needed to make the most of this game was that Sky and Scroll were just down to an individual Scroll. These guys are so good on the low ground, and typically on low ground, it's Sky and Scroll running the show. These guys have to play a couple of layers above, but because that low ground was free for them, they could then show what they could do. So for a different reason, they really needed to make that game count, and what a way to do it. These guys are going to be fantastic on low ground, and if Sky and Scroll also again continue to fail to make the end game as a duo, they'll be running the show.
I gotta see those standings one more time, man. So many different things. That was just game number 1. Teeny Shark, remember they got that VR second place, but look right behind him, Chino, Pablo, Wingo. Chino kind of put in a situation there just to be by himself for just a moment, but you know, man, Viv, I'm looking at this, and you said a name. You mentioned a name, Miniminer. We were both going crazy, Sky and Scroll. So let's think back to the start of this game, right? Gets lurked on by Zoe, suddenly has to reboot, and then Scroll goes on the run of his life, Viv.
What a roller coaster of emotions for all of the Sky and Scroll fans out there. Yeah, the reboot was absolutely clutch, right? We know Sky was kind of left to his demises as a solo, but potentially the most MVP move of the game was him going ahead and rebooting Scroll, because like you mentioned, Zeke, after he was left as a solo, it just didn't stop it. This is an incredible performance. I was kind of mentioning after the reboot came in and these guys were a duo, I was like, man, if they do well this game after how bad the early game has gone, just go ahead and wrap it up, because it feels like these guys are just going to win the competition, because this by no means should have been a good game for them.
I think the way to sum up that is, you know the meme where it's like, it's so over, we're so back, it's so over, we're so back. That was like the way that game was going down off spawn. It's over. Okay, it's all right. We got the reboot. Oh no, one of them goes down. It's so over. Oh no, Scroll is solo clutching. Down to 1 HP, down to 1 build. Oh no, it's so over. Oh no, he's found a refresh. It's like he just had the answers to every single problem throughout that game. And that's why this team are one of the favorites to win this competition, because although we know how fantastic they are as a duo, a common theme when it came to them winning FNCS in Major 1 for EU was their solo clutching ability. And look out for that from both sides as well. Both of them are so good individually that you could put either of those guys in Scroll's shoes right there and they would make the same plays happen.
What I love about that point, Minnie, is the fact that, like you say, on EU, now we've taken a step farther, the farthest step we can, international competition, and they are still showing us why they are favorites in EU. Viv, I gotta come to you really fast though. Cold and rapid. Schmovin in that last game. Game number 1, strong start, of course. Still needs some work to be done, but still, I love seeing them. I love seeing how confident Cold was as well.
I love the way this duo plays, right? Because a lot of the times, some of our favorites, they're high ground teams, they're low ground teams, but no, these guys know how to get into the mix and some of those mid-ground layers, and it's just on the back foot of being able to find so many eliminations, right? Obviously, this is going to be a low elimination game. I can almost guarantee you we're going to see them kind of have one of those pop-off games where Cold picks up like 7, Rapid picks up 7, but this was a good, solid first game. Remember, they land all the way on the east side of the map. They had to kind of travel all the way over to the west side, a little bit of a tough pull for them, but still great to kind of find them in the top 10.
Yeah, ultimately, you saw right there, they had no bills in that final situation. Both of them had to make those solo plays. It was someone I spoke to on the Telestrator yesterday with Vico about how important those solo plays are when you don't have bills. Running around in those end games, there's so much fizz miss, there's so many of those overdrive grenades flying about. It can just be a case of, can you find a refresh in the right moment? And for them in that game, they couldn't. But if they can, we can expect to see these guys in that top 5, I'm sure.
Guys, I want to continue to pick apart these standings. Let me have them again. I'd love to just continue to talk more and more about. It's crazy how much was packed up into that just game number 1. As we continue down the leaderboard, Shadow, Virgo, Epic, Whale, and Pump just above Cold and Rapid. Dude, we even saw for a moment in that last game, Pump was like, hey, hold on, maybe I should go for that high ground.
Yeah, this was good from these guys, and I think it's going to play into Shark and Teeny's favor as well. The Epic, Well, and Pump actually had a good game. Remember, the whispers were sort of like maybe they might get contested. So if Epic, Well, and Pump didn't have so good of a game, Shark and Teeny might then have been contested. So it's good news for them. Good news for Epic and Pump as well. They're a team that can pop off, that have experience on LAN, and it's nice to see it all come to fruition.
I can't lie, though, the list of names that we have talked about so far that were kind of touching or holding that high ground for a moment during that game kind of scares me a little bit for any of the teams that are kind of be looking to play for that. I mean, at one point we had Pollo, who was looking to hold it as a solo. I don't know how the heck he's doing that. Nico and Malabuka, they look kind of poised to take it at one point. We talked about Epic, Whale, and Pump. We saw Scary up there. We know Shark and Teeny kind of went for it. And, you know, I feel like we kind of came into this weekend after watching Sky and Sorrow dominate from the low ground over on the regional FNCS. We were like, oh, I think that a lot of the focus for some of these teams is going to be on the low ground. It kind of feels like we're going back to that chaotic high ground meta that we know and love.
It could just be a game 1 thing, though, right? A lot of those teams out there, we don't have like a defined height team. This is our team that we're going to see on height. A lot of those teams will probably be thinking, why can't that be us? This could be something that we do, right? So that first game, they might be trying to stake their claim upon that high ground. Of course, we saw Shark and Tina. We have seen them doing that as well over on EU, so they're no strangers to that position. It's just a showcase of how many teams are capable of going for it and holding it, so it's going to be very interesting.
I love to see as well Fukun and Mini Pollo in 9th place representing Asia. We're sitting in the top 10. Let's keep bringing that heat right now. Also, Vico, Malabuka, a little bit of slower start, right? Currently in 12th place, but again, I don't want to get too crazy, right? That's just game number 1. Obviously, 8 games is the first time we kind of had like a format like this, but it's a little bit of slower start than maybe we're used to, Mini. Maybe we're used to seeing this. What do you think?
Yeah, it's a difficult one for these guys. Again, you know, they probably would have liked to have made the most of this game, considering it was the Northern Pulse. So it's like, yeah, they were looking pretty good. They had a good Storm Surge going into this end game. They were picking up a lot of those eliminations. They crucially couldn't pick up those refreshes. Look at those eliminations so far away. And ultimately, this is what we were talking about earlier and yesterday with Vico. No builds. You have to try and make these plays happen. And if it doesn't go in your favor, Vivid, that's when things can start to crumble.
Fortnite's so hard, man, because like we turned into these guys POV wise, what was it, like 9 zone? It looked like they were like playing like second height. It looked like they were kind of poised to once again, you know, win that game, but you tune into them just a zone later and they have run out of resources right there. Remember, top 15 is what is going to qualify you to global championship. And I cannot believe I'm saying this because we kind of brought up the point that some of these smaller regional teams struggle to break into the top 15. We're talking about top 10. Looking down here at 11th place, we got Alex and Reckless also kind of joining us in the mix.
So happy to see these guys there. Of course, they just about got through in that low bracket. They were that 19th team that qualified on through. And I was speaking to Alex yesterday night in the hotel, and I was saying, you just about made it through. How are you feeling about tomorrow? You've done it so much. And he was like, yeah, we got some strats cooking. We got some things under wraps. We haven't shown all of our cards yet. And he, being the face of OCE, like he likes to talk about, he needs to make these plays happen. And of course, looks like they're working out so far.
Yeah, man, that's a strong start. Even in 14th place, right? We saw a little bit of Scary as well as Sayaz. They were kind of starting to compete for the high ground. Didn't quite go their way, but again, that's just game number 1. Even got a couple moments there with Akira and Karama. Dude, there's just so many names packed up into a single lobby. After game number 1, how are we feeling?
Feeling good. I mean, what kind of flies under the radar for this duo specifically a lot of the times, double controller. Kind of rare in Fortnite nowadays, right? It's kind of been difficult, or at least, you know, not so common for controller players to kind of find themselves any success in Fortnite competitive, but we always see those breakthrough performances. Karam and Akira picking up a top 4 that game. Obviously, they're going to be feeling kind of good about that, and I feel good about it too. Remember, they're kind of expected to land all the way to the south side of the map with that zone pulling all the way to the north side. You got to imagine that we could see them do much better than that as well if the zone was a little bit easier for them. Also expected to be contested, so I have to keep an eye on whether or not they're actually going to be able to play all 8 of these games out.
Yeah, French favorites, these guys. I mean, a lot of the French fans, you can see them on the screen, you can hear them most certainly as well in the crowd. They are a team that a lot of French fans are having their eyes on, and it's going to be interesting to see if they can continue that. Like you mentioned, Vivid, they are looking to be contested. Not quite sure what happened in that off-spawn contest in game 1, but now they're up in the leaderboards. I'm sure we'll have a look at that. And it's good news as well for Shadow and Virgo, who I mentioned at the beginning of the show.
True.
If these guys of Akira Kurama don't do so well down there at the south, we have seen them landing to that South Frigid Fortress as well. So for Shadow and Virgo, opportunity on that stage as well.
And I love that rounding out the top 10. Acorn and Bolts, we interviewed him at the start of the show. Confidence like crazy to be in the top 10 after game number 1 is very impressive. Obviously, we still got 7 games to go. Don't get crazy, but there's still a lot of job or work to be done, rather, but I like seeing them in that top 10.
Yeah, I would imagine Acorn right now is probably kicking himself because, again, we kind of talked about all of the teams that land up north. They should be loving a zone like that. We know Acorn land just north of Wonky Lane, so it should have been a pretty similar game to kind of like Shark and Team's performance right there for them because they didn't necessarily have to move far at all. So 10th place, again, probably kicking himself for that, but we know Acorn always got something ready.
Yeah, especially in Major 1 as well. We've sort of seen historically with Acorn winning Major 1. This Major 3rd place in Major 1 over in NAC, so maybe it's sort of like a little bit of an asterisk. Yeah, we won Major 1 Summit instead. Maybe they were saving it for the Summit, so really great start from those guys. I'm not too concerned if they do get some South zones as well. They have that massive launch pad that's at their drop spot as well, so I'm sure they would have been looking back at how they could use that in the VODs, but this is a team we expect to see in plenty of these episodes.
I love that. Can we just double back for a moment? This 8-game format, obviously being in a situation where the first time in possibly a while, possibly ever, we're seeing 8 games. So many players are used to like the 6 games, you know, and even with the 6 games, it's difficult, right? You drop a game, you're like, oh, that much harder to kind of climb up and reach those points. How do these 2, which just sounds so small, just 2 extra games impact the lobby?
I actually think it's going to be a time thing more than an actual like quantity of game thing, because there are tournaments that are run all the time. You know, when you're kind of like in an open stage, you are allotted to actually play like 10, 11, 12 games, whatever it may be for that specific tournament. So they know how to kind of play numerous amounts of games. However, those types of tournaments are usually restricted to like 3 hours. And if you think about 6 games over the course of the LAN environment as well, it's usually kind of about 3 hours. I think just the time, right? It's going to be a long time up there on the stage. I actually saw it when we were kind of walking back out here to the stage. There were a lot of players already kind of taking quick little breaks as well. So after the first game, man, these guys aren't really feeling too comfortable. They've got to get their minds right.
Well, my mind is right, and it's ready for game number 2. So casters, take it away.
Thank you so much, Zeke. And honestly, if game 1 was any indication of a type of tournament we are going to see, we are in for a treat.
I can already picture the booth watch party getting absolutely ballistic. That guy's just going nonstop. Anywhere, international teams. Because all he can think about is EU right now.
You should have seen my reaction when I saw that whole top 5 was EU. I mean, things are heating up, and we have even more action on the way with game number 2.
Insane solo clutches, huge elimination games like Garmin Deem has just had. We've had a cinematic first game already, and I'm definitely in it for more. In that last game, we kind of saw Cold and Rapid, not necessarily contested, but a good portion of the lobby already rotated on over.
They made it evident, though. Their intentions are for hype, but we'll have to worry about that at a later moment, because right now, Chap Flixie, they're about to get the party started here at New Sanctuary.
Already Flixie getting the first drop spot ready, and he gets that first knock. Down goes Tinka. Now it's a 2v1 situation here. Chap and Flixie, instead of getting full aggressive, trying to find where that last elimination is, they're trying to work together, get some materials, get some heals, because they know the solo is not too far behind as Resign goes down.
And for a team who have had plenty of slow starts to tournaments this year, this is a great first 2 games for them as far as the off-spawn situation goes. Quick wipe twice in a row.
It's going to leave a lot to wonder for game 3, but now Pump Epic Whale trying to have similar success, and they find it. 2 quick eliminations to kick things off. Now opens the door to see what they do next, because they're definitely going to be looking to try and apply some pressure over towards other parts of the map, thinking Wonky Land, but maybe even lurking elsewhere, pushing further north.
Yep, contested drop. That's how Epic Whale got the first elimination onto Hero. Sees focus across, and they now kind of use their numbers to go ahead and get that elimination. And Epic Whale and Pump have been on a journey from Wonky Land to Riptides to now this split drop here.
And as we tune into Cooper and Reek, you will notice 2 eliminations between them. They took down the Asian duo. Rainy, Nalu landed on them, and we'll be regretting that as they will watch the rest of this game on that stage.
We'll tune in again. Razan and Noah Riley, not even the best loadout here, looking like they were trying to take the fight. A contested drop means you're not going to get everything right out of the gate. Surviving with 9 HP. He is blessed here with a second chance at life. But you see, there's 2 teams directly nearby. We know 2 teams are north towards Latte, and with so many more towards the west. I'm not sure where Noah and Reason are going to get their loot from.
He can't afford to even take another tick of damage, and Danikush, Diggs, they were bound to see those white tags being applied, so more pressure definitely still to come as Kazi, Nemo, trying to see whether or not they'll have a better story here over by Riptides. Cammy and Hottie jumping into the mix very early on. A little bit of a spoiler even. Their intentions were clearly to mess up Focus and Thomas.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see, of course. We've seen these guys fighting in this area all season long. We've seen Focus and Thomas make lurk plays like this all season long, and this might just be a successful one as the fight ensues, as Focus and Thomas come hooking in. They're ready to take control of the fight. Hari not prepared for the damage above, and it might just be Focus and Thomas's fight to win. Hari no match. Cammy will go down. A great start to the game for Focus and Thomas.
That's exactly what Focus and Thomas needed to, but the message had already been sent. The rest of the lobby now, they have it read, because Thomas is just finding so many crucial moments very early on. He's got that rhythm going strong.
That's one thing you kind of learn over time. Don't poke the bear, you'll awaken the beast. I think Thomas and Focus knows they need a decent game here to go ahead and place towards the top of the leaderboard. Poyo is down. Peterbot left by himself. 1v2. We've seen the exact opposite in the last game. Poyo was able to kind of clutch up decent placement. 28 points. Peterbot now with the pressure on. One of the greatest of all time. Has to prove why he still is one of the best, but he's getting pressured from all around. 2v1 situation. Dropped down to 65 HP. Even with a full chug and some splashes, he's still outnumbered.
And now we will learn which version of Peterbot are we going to see in this competition today.
He's already in 17th place after that first game. Not where anybody thought one of the uncontested teams in this game would end up landing. But no Sif and Izzy, they're going to let the dust settle. They're going to let Peterbot possibly get away as a solo.
But how do you give Peterbot this much grace? You have him isolated as a solo. You are strong with your duo, and yet they just don't feel like the juice is worth the squeeze, because they recognize Darm and Demish already on the move.
And we always talk in EU about how there seems to be a lack of respect between people, but even here, Izzy and Nosif respecting Peterbot. They know what he can do when you give him enough time and space.
Now gone over to Battlewood. Kind of saw the ending portions of this fight in game one. Venom and Curve were sent back to the lobby early. Akira and Karama, they used that as a confidence boost to propel themselves for the rest of the game. And I don't think Venom and Curve will get lurked on and make that same mistake too many times.
We heard it live from Venom himself just the other day, though. Most of what he intends to do in a finals lobby, he hasn't brought to light yet. Could this be another one of those methods? Only time will tell. But for right now, Curve, Venom, they've had so many of their plans kind of ruined just having to constantly engage with these teams south of the map.
A team who doesn't need to do much as far as adaptation goes. They've been successful all season long, playing their game how they want to play it. And with Scrolls, 32 points, 52 point solo clutch, I should say. In that first game, it will give them the much needed boost and momentum they need to continue. Hopefully, as a duo, Jacob. But if needed, we know they can do it alone.
Yeah, that's going to be the big thing is a lot of players will probably find themselves in a situation where things didn't necessarily go their way. And it's really about how you answer the call, cold and rapid. This time around, unlike last time, Taco, they get the zone pulled on over, which means they have more time to work with.
You would think so, but another duo that I wouldn't be surprised to see make their way on over towards this Four Fields direction, Chino and Pablo. How has that triple contest at Sandy Strip actually broken out? And that's why we see Cold in this Surge Tower, honestly on the lookout, because he's fully aware of the fact that the dust hasn't settled yet over by Sandy. He can see Chino's Surge base in the distance.
And the great thing is they won't have to move for much of this game. The zone continues to pull to the east. They are prime position to continue and have another great endgame.
Yeah, and I think everybody's kind of feeling the pressure of that game number one. Storm Surge really dictated how teams were able to play. If you're below that damage threshold, you almost had to be a magnet to a fridge and push yourself against the first team that you saw. And so now, with one game already under their belt, you're seeing teams kind of play a little bit more passive. 85 alive here in Zone 3. That means it's going to be dangerous when it comes to Surge.
And you see Swizzy and Pixie, a duo who many will be hoping to hear plenty from today. Just a moment ago, it looked like they were trying to set up a little lurk play. But this is a team who understands how to play within the congestion. We've seen them do it all throughout the season. Look who's back fighting. A bit of a rematch between Focus, Thomas, Kurama, Akira potentially. Focus, Thomas, though, they'll be happy with how their game started, not desperate for damage in the same way Akira and Kurama might be.
Not in the slightest, but they're more than happy to still pay Kurama and Akira a visit just because of the fact that we saw Thomas not happy with the fact that their early rotates in game one, a little bit spoiled by the fact that they were challenged and held over at Riptide. So now Akira, Kurama, ball's in your court. But now they're knowing that Thomas is in front of them. They still have to play catch up.
This is a tough, tough situation to be for this guys. Not only do you have to catch up when it comes to damage and surge, you're gonna have to figure out how to get yourself back up to cap mats. They are far, far off the pathway to having a successful game right now, with Zone continuing to fall far from them. It's an uphill climb.
This is a battle I didn't expect to see this early. First and second place, respectively. Shark and Tini going against Storm and Demas. They're taking the fight towards the north side of the map. See damage, shield being taken off, HP. The longer you stay in the zone, the more likely you are to just get one shot knocked. And I think they realize that. Tini making sure to grab the splashes, 12 overall. They just need to get in the same box, and health won't necessarily be a worry. Meanwhile, Shark is still putting down pressure. He's trying not to let Darman Demas do the same thing. He doesn't want to get them healthy enough to fight back, and I think Tini knows it as well. That's why he's putting pressure on both of those walls, trying to break in, and finally getting that elimination on the Darm.
It's exactly what they've been trying to stall out for, but we'll even get a chance to review here, see how exactly Darm was even in that position to begin with, and Demas just fully caught off guard. Tini lurking around the rock. He is notorious for these types of plays. He frequently finds those opportunities amongst other teams' loop pads to cut them off and find them when they're in a moment of slippage.
And last time we saw these boys here, though, Peterbot and Koyo, it was in a bit of a pickle. Peterbot stuck by himself, further out from where he is now. Koyo was down, but it's good to see that Koyo is back in the game, fresh off with a reboot. And because they are uncontested at Squibbly, there's a lot of time for them to get the loot and the loadout that they need for the rest of the game.
Time. It's not something Akira and Kurama have much of right now. Veno seemingly realizing that and looking to pull away, not give these guys what they want, and that is a fight. Veno and Curve need to make good of this game. We saw just how quickly things can turn for you when you are potentially fighting people off spawn. You have to make every second count.
And Veno's always been one known for liking to play through the storm into later zones. The only thing that might threaten them here in this matchup, if they don't run into QNDX and Phantom, is Storm Sickness itself. Can make things a little bit more complicated later on, but scenic views elsewhere. Chap, Flixie, very content right now, postured on a hill over by Builders Barracks, and they'll be the cutoff point for so many of those teams trying to make an entrance through the West.
Yeah, for Flixie and Chap, honestly, their journey to get here. They were going towards the new Sanctuary uncontested throughout the course of the tournament. They won. Romero started to contest them. And not only that, kind of beat them off the spawn, force them out of the POI. But Chap and Flixie, they went ahead and made the proper adjustments in order to qualify here for Sunday.
Yeah, they started off the game super aggressively. After winning their Ospo fight, they ran straight over towards Werex and Kuduro, and they took Werex down. We'll see if that aggression continues throughout the day.
It's a tough spot right now, though, for Reason and Noah Riley. It is never a great sight when you're having to depend on these forms of mobility, but still, even entering a little bit after the fact, the main thing is just going to be trying to avoid Chino's line of sight, and that's already been scouted out. Reason trying to hug this cliff face as closely as possible, but Noah Riley, he'll be here trying to stop some face. He's first up, gets an opening shot, but it's just not enough. There's still 3 below on Surge.
At least it's a start, but that one is going to set them back just a little bit. Hobby going ahead and firing back, letting them know you will not pass, or at least not safely. They're trying to continue to move in, but it's getting rougher and rougher. Sandy Strip, this part of the zone is so stacked that it's going to be hard, even if you get the eliminations to stay alive, but they're being persistent. They know they don't have the heals if Storm Surge activates, but Noah Riley goes down. 2v1 situation, and Reason will follow him back to the lobby.
Try to do his best to hold things out, but it was a grim situation to begin with. Still, Ju looking to turn the tides here. Kinuo eliminated, and now Badil and Ju have a little bit of an opening here. It'll likely be intentions of white lining straight from 4 fields inwards, but more importantly still, as the partial zones begin to develop, Ju and Badil, they are stacked right now with the loadout.
Yeah, and they're in a great position to enter the zone without much resistance. Ju has been on fire so far this weekend, and that streak will continue. Gets one, gets the other, and he's feeling it right now. Badil was bigging him up, and rightfully so.
Sometimes you just gotta believe in yourself, believe in your duo. Chino, Pablo taking that rotation away from Sandy Strip, but leaves them overly exposed. Even though they're almost 300 above the damage threshold, they now become Bobby sprayed, focused out. Chino taking a little bit more damage, but they're able to breathe here in this moment. Still 256 above.
But look at what's surrounding them. Swizzy, Pixie, Victor V, Kanata, Malabuka, and Vico. There is nowhere safe currently. Every single edit that's made, you have to be quick with your shots, because the damage application that you might receive in return, it could just be your demise.
Yeah, they had to invest 6 metal boxes just to make sure they didn't get lobby sprayed there. So a tough position to be in, but one that they will survive. Mumsy won't be surviving this though. Too much to deal with here in game number 2.
Sometimes being below that damage threshold just could be so daunting. You really have no answer, especially if you don't have heals to keep it going. 47 above though for Acorn and Bolts. Not necessarily a strange position to see him in, especially where the zone has been going, but they need to be careful. Right next door, Peterbot and Poyo, and they are below the damage threshold. That means anybody can get it at this point in time, because they need an elimination.
Still not enough damage to where one tag wouldn't make the difference, so that's the best part. Question is, how aggressive do they want to take it? How confident are they feeling in their fighting right now to overcome?
I mean, we know these two can turn it to 100 at needs be. And so if things really do start to get dire, I would not expect them to get too passive. Only 5 shots in the shotgun barrel for Poyo. But he only needs 1, we know that, boy.
And right now, it just kind of looks like a solid strategy. They're close to the zone. They're trying to out-heal it. They're hoping, praying even more teams have to rotate on by, and there goes that first find. Diminished. He's going to go down. Even if they don't get elimination, they got at least 1 tag, but they're still below 13-2. It's not looking good so far, but they're so patient. They realize they cannot get desperate in a situation like this, because all it takes is 1 moment of weakness to cost you everything.
It's just the repercussions of that first engagement. They tried to exchange big blows, but they ended up losing a good chunk of their surge along the way. And when you find yourself net even, it makes every single moment matter even more so, because you're just constantly teeter-tottering between the two, above and below.
Yeah, look, they're opting to try and out-heal just to keep themselves in the game longer, to maybe extend that window of opportunity for a refresh. And you're seeing Peterbot activating right now. It's Bolts he has his eyes set on. but they won't give it up too easy. You see now the desperation has kicked in, Jacob. They want to get in and fast.
Yeah, they realize we can't continue to out-heal this. We'll have nothing left over. Storm Surge hits. Peter Brock goes down. Poyo trying to stay alive. He strikes bolts down. Still below the damage threshold, though. Active Surge. He finds himself above by cleaning up that elimination. Miracles do exist.
We told you he only needs one.
And they found it, and now he's got plenty more to work with, but as a solo, it's going to be all the more complicated. Still, you know Acorn can't possibly be happy about that. It looked like they were going to get out scot-free. Instead, it cost them so much along the way.
Back-to-back games right now where Poyo's going to have to play this game out as a solo. He played it phenomenally in that last one, but he needs a repeat performance, which might not last too long. Shark and Teeny waiting in the waters to strike, but he escapes with certainty. But how much distance can he create himself from one of the most dangerous teams in the lobby?
This might be one of the worst case scenarios though for Poyo, but his saving grace here is that Shark and Teeny, they're prioritizing the positioning. They don't need to waste their time on someone who's clearly just way too tattered to actually do something back. Fico Malabuca though, this could be a great opportunity for them to strike first as Victor B left by his lonesome 349 below. He might just be delaying the inevitable here if he doesn't find a pop-off in an instant.
Victor B looking to try and be our next young star to make a pop at this stage. He'll have to wait till game 3 though. Too much pressure from the lobby. And Ju, we bigged him up earlier this game, but can he back it up with just 9 builds remaining and a very, very steep surge situation?
One of the problems that Ju and Badil have encountered along with other teams that are struggling with Surge is that these rotates, you're so much more exposed. There's not much to hide behind from the territory just surrounding Sandy Strip. And with that in mind, teams, they're forced to expend almost all of their materials. They're trying to make these tunnels to find those clear paths, but everyone is just on the lookout, constantly trying to find an opportunity here. And Ju making the approach now, it could be Cold next.
Chance is going to go down. Cold and Rapid immediately steamroll that one elimination. They backtrack, trying to get seconds, but it's Tyler who actually steals that one away. You can see the entire lobby coming online here. Even high ground. You got Belusi, you got Zangi, Javi, Aminis trying to make a claim for it. Even Agers and Ritual. They saw what went down in game 1, and they want to be a part of the mix.
But this is a sight right now. We're seeing Scroll and Sky paired together. And now, 426 above, the world is their oyster. They're ready to make a move. They've got the mobility off the overdrive grenade. What's next?
Trying to move forward, using the gauntlets to try to move past, but you see Chino, Pablo, they go down. Belusi and Zangi, they go ahead and exclusively be one of the only teams up above as Pico and Malabuca take down Karama. And this is one of the most dangerous parts of the game if you're not ready. But high ground has to be careful. Agers and Ritual, they're towards the backside of zone. They could pop off at any moment with just one shockwave.
Zangi and Belusi, they have a tough task on their hand holding on to this one. They have to be eagle-eyed as Vico and Malabuca look to potentially make a play in the back. They will just move towards the front side, maybe just waiting for that next zone, that next opportunity. They certainly have the resources to deal with it, and the chop will come out.
But all the while, on the lower tiers, Shark and Teeny are starting to really find some momentum here. Fico, Malabuca from secondary height, making sure to continue tarping directly below where Belusi and Zangi are at. But they're on the move here and now, straight up towards that front side of zone.
They have so many materials, but it's Alex and Reckless that actually look up and try to contest the high ground. They at least get the knock onto Zangi. Belusi has to give it up with only a few materials left, and being a solo, it's his only hope to try to get more points.
Oceana came to play today. Alex and Reckless are just causing so much noise here up top, but they're forced to drop. The chop is good to go. Ritual and Agers now with a surprise come up here on height.
Jacob called them out. They were waiting in the wings, waiting for that opportunity. And as soon as they sensed some weakness, they went up and took it. But now it's about delivering and closing this game out, as there are still so many duels left in this one, trying to fight for the win.
You got Thomas trying to move forward, reunite with Focus, which is a necessity because he has 0 builds left. Even with 7 eliminations, they're falling short in terms of materials in the end game. And eventually, they're getting closer and closer to Sky and Scroll. But it's Shark who goes down. Sky and Scroll will not be denied.
And they're just taking everything from everyone, but Scroll yet again left as a solo, beaming Ritual up on height, but now he's made his presence known, forced the drop, but he has the builds. He's ready to make a move.
Ritual Ages, though, they denied any team from coming up once. They're going to try to look to do it again. 5 eliminations from Ages. Spoke too soon. 6 eliminations for Ages by himself. But down below, you have to be careful. Vico and Malabuka, they are the ones that are running the low.
They're so content. They're just chilling with their pizza. Everyone else is having to duke it out. But these two, they're ready to try and bring down Ritual and Agers. Vico loses Malabuka, though. They might have 7 eliminations, but can Vico get some more?
Yeah, with Malabuka going down, that leaves Agers and Ritual, the only duo left in this game, but you have to watch out. Scroll, dangerous. Vico, we know he can clutch up, but up above, they're pressuring both of the solo players, forcing Sky and Scroll together. Agers drops down. He gets the elimination. 2v1 situation. Agents and Ritual seal the deal by taking down Vico.
All they needed was just to get the ball rolling. They make it out of Latte landing, and they immediately convert it into a victory royale here in Game 2. They've got to be feeling so good about it.
Your layer is never too safe. If Ritual and Ages are in that end game, Frankie, what do they have to say about that one?
Guys, that end game was sheer perfection. What do you think was the reason you were able to get to such a great end game?
I just think we're the best duo, and we were triple con the first game and the second one, so it's the first game we got to play.
And now you know how to get off spawn. Ritual, it's interesting seeing you manage to take height cleanly. When we spoke the other day, you said you were more comfortable mid to low ground. Why did height feel right today?
Sometimes you got to get outside your comfort zone, and I think that's what we did, and it was the easiest game ever.
So the comfort zone is now height?
It's everything now.
It is everything now. So, you had a problem game 1, triple contested, game 2, flawless. What's game 3 gonna look like now you have a target on your back?
We know what to do now. We weren't expecting the triple con because we were practicing against Reed the whole time, so we're ready.
All right then. Düsseldorf, please give it up for Ages and Ritual! We'll take a short break when we come back. Game 3.
I got hit with that one off. I'm popping a med bit. Wait, short. Got 6 builds? No, max up. Wait, if you're mid, wait. 100! 100! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
Fortnite fam, welcome back to the FNCS Summit. Putting my NA favoritism mask on for just a moment. What's up? NA on top of game number 2. That's right. Ah! Okay, took it off there. Unbiased Zeke back.
I come back.
Crazy stuff. Wait for one back on. Ages and yes! Ages and Ritual get up here. Okay, back off. Anyway, sorry about that. Sorry you had to see that. Congratulations to the duo showing up when it matters, right? Finding that momentum, finding what was crazy too, the high ground of all things. And I love hearing from Richie himself, like, hey, it is now. High ground is right now.
Zeke, I don't need a mask. I feel like the slightest increase in how big my smile is after an NA team wins a game should be telling enough. I mean, incredible game from the boys here, and we were kind of watching this one fizzle out, and it's like, you know, we kind of tune into them. They're on the high ground, they're chilling. Agers, man, ends the game. What was it? 8 eliminations. Ritual over there with 0 as well. Obviously, we know Ritual is good at making those IGL calls. That's what he's known for. Yeah. But Agers having a performance like this, man, incredible to see.
Really, really nice to see these guys clutching up, claiming that high ground as well. The way they took height was absolutely perfect. Took it at the right time as well. Something we've sort of spoken about throughout this weekend is the time that you take height is super important. If you take it too early, like we saw with teams like Alex and Reckless, took it a little bit too early, had it taken off of them. But there's a point in these end games where if you have it at the right time, you can ride it out to the end. And especially if you're a team as good as those guys, they are capable of doing it. Triple contested off spawn as well. Like they mentioned in that interview by Nalu and Rainy was the sort of surprise con from the East. Really, really great job from those guys.
Yeah, that's not what you would want to hear, right, on LAN. Yeah. Oh, we're triple contested. Apparently, Agents Ritual, they do not care. We have a listen-in from that last game. Let's check it out.
Good.
I got blasted.
Coming over?
I'm good.
Where?
I'm med bombing.
Yeah, watch this back wall. It's weak.
Okay,
I'm holding it, but...
Be awareness for me. I'm grabbing slices.
I'm just holding walls.
Give me some hearts.
Yeah, delete those. I'm 5-0-1.
I'm good mats. I'm good mats.
Yeah,
hold.
holding.
You hold. Hold.
Got it. Dead.
150.
Holding.
Hold.
Can't get it.
Second.
Wait, I pizza box. You wanna play all height? You wanna go height now?
I'm down. Yeah, throw it.
Throwing this.
Right.
Jumping in, it's Ryan. It's Ryan second height.
Yeah, spray. Break.
Zone. Med bomb. Look at it.
Yeah, I'm staring.
He's going up. I'm in. Dead. Come on.
Baby.
Come on.
That's what I like to see. What's really interesting too, of course, they had the high ground, but then in that like kind of pivotal moment, they're like, let's just drop low ground. They're expecting us up there. Let's just take the fight to them, catch them off guard, blindside them, ends in a victory royale.
Yeah, incredible stuff there. Love to kind of tune into the listen-ins, because something that we can't really pick up when we're just watching them heads up is like, what are all the things that these teams are aware of? You kind of heard that he was calling out head miss, end zone. They could, overdrive up with that. So they were fully aware of that. With that game right there, after a rough game number 1, Agers and Rituals find themselves flying up the leaderboard, 30 spots to join the top 5. We needed an NA team up there, but yeah, they're going to be 4th place after that one, 105 points.
Yeah, really, really great performances, guys. I'm looking at first place right now. The new first place on the leaderboard, Teeny and Sharp. We got to bring it back to EU, all right? That's what I'm here.
That's right.
These guys started the game really interestingly. They actually lurked on Dharma Dimash, our ex-first place team, and took them out of spawn. Really bold play at the beginning of this tournament. They only just had 1 game prior to that. So it's like, we are playing for the win already. We are trying to take this by force, and that is what they then continue to do for the rest of this end game. Exciting stuff.
We're only 2 games in, but it starts to feel scary when Mini Miner kind of makes the point, hey, listen, Shark and Teeny game number 1, you guys got to make the most out of that. They did. It comes over to Wonky Land. They have a great game. This was nowhere near Wonky Land, man, right? They had to rotate across the map, but they still did very, very well. And that's when it starts to get scary for me, when I start to take a look at how good some of these teams just are at playing Fortnite, and not to mention this change in strategy as well, like you mentioned, early in the game. So they look prepared.
I wasn't prepared to see this many teams up in that leaderboard as dominant as EU. We got our one up there, right? But so many high-profile duos as well. Vico and Malabuka themselves. We saw Ages Ritual climb to 30, but Vico and Malabuka climbing 11 spots. Remember, we kind of talked about their first game, maybe a little bit slower. They said, second game, let's kick it into high gear.
Yeah, there's a few really nice things they did in this end game. They were shaping up to take height at one point in that game. They were looking for it later on in this end game, and they were thinking, right, do we go for it, do we not? And there was a moment where they decided, okay, let's not. Let's play out our materials. Malabuka, Vico picking up a lot of those refreshes, and it was around this sort of moment where they thought, yeah, let's just play out the mid ground, play out the low ground layers as well, and it was right here. Vico decided, yeah, let's just try and play out as much as I possibly can, going back into the storm. And then, of course, when Aegis and Ritual came down, they took out Scroll. So he managed to clutch up that second place. And something that I just noticed about Vico, right? A lot of players, when they're walking off for that break, we actually walk by them when we get to the desk. They're very chill, very, very calm. Vico's a lot of fans, of course, chanting his name. He was fired up. He was feeling good, and I hope he carries that into the next game.
All right, well, you know what? I'm actually getting word the next game is ready. So, casters, let's kick it back over to you.
Already 2 games down, 6 more to go. This is looking a little bit more like a marathon instead of a straight foot race.
You would think so, but with the way that Shark and Teeny are playing, they're looking to eliminate anybody that's coming close. Darm Deemish, targeted intentionally. They were in that first place position, but an early departure now means Shark and Teeny might look to take over here in Game 3.
We're still in the beginning stretch of the entire tournament. And where you are now on the leaderboard isn't too impactful. There's 6 more games left to pick up those points, eliminations, victory royales, and close the gap. We're looking at who is the best in the world as of now and top 15 for the Global Championship.
And we're already seeing one more of these hotly contested off-spawn battles. And it's up to Hero now to try and make sure some of the mistakes of previous games are not repeated. Epic, Well, and Pump did not come to muck about at all. They are ready to win this fight.
Focus and Hero down below. It's a little bit of a mismatch, but they're going to still take the fight to Epic Well. Drops him down to just a little bit of HP. Pump finishes that elimination, and they go back to back. They each get their own, and they hold their ground yet again off spawn.
Thought we were watching a zero builds competition for a moment there. No one had any materials to work with. They were both just so quick to the jump. They knew that they had to try and find those eliminations as fast as possible.
All right, next on our off-spawn tally, Tinker and Resigns versus Chap and Flixie. They don't want that smoke this time around. They want to get the chance to actually play their game. And this might have been the best possible decision they could have made. Big early damage done onto Chap and Flixie, and they have no answers. They landed way further towards the east.
But it would have felt so much better if they'd actually been able to connect and find at least one knock. That gives you the opportunity to actually push and pressure, because now you're dealing with 2 duos that don't have a lot to work with, and Lewa and Romero are still around.
Let's see what that OC duo can do in this game. For Reet and Cooper, they started last game with a fight up against the Asian duo of Nalu and Rainy. This time around, Ritual has gone down after winning that previous game. And so things here at Lalte still haven't been figured out as far as what the dynamic of the day is going to be. It is still a messy situation, Taco.
For Reed and Cooper, it's just anything you can do, I can do better. They have a point to prove up against the likes of Rituals and Agers. And I know you guys might have seen things getting a little heated on socials, but here in the lobby is the best chance to come out on top.
Every single time Noah, Riley, and Razan just kind of pop up on the screen, I just hear the arena erupt. I've never seen so much energy outside of last year's Global Championship, really kind of giving it their all to their favorite teams. Is something that you love to see. And for Noah and Razan, they're just doing a good job here, not necessarily putting it all into just one contested fight. They're saying, hey, we might not get the best loot off spawn, but this is something we can gather as the game goes on.
And already in game 3, major off-spawn switch-ups, Rainy and Nalu, the Asian team who had had their struggles landing in the northeast of the map, trying to take fights in Latte that just weren't working, have now decided to land at Riptides. And I'm not sure if Focus and Thomas are quite aware of just exactly where they are.
but at the same time, they didn't exactly have anything great to work with. They have to be so precise with when they pounce if they want to net any kind of eliminations here. Momsy, Skyjump, they've had so much difficulty just trying to find their footing in these first 3 games, and it's looking like things might go from bad to worse here if Momsy isn't careful.
Yeah, this is a tight situation because they're fighting a 2v2, but then you got Shark and Teen, or at least one of the two, over from Wonky Land, disrupting this fight, third party causing a little bit of a distraction, landing some of those shots on a Skyjump and Momsy. And if they didn't get tagged up, that would have been a huge green light to go.
And I understand the aggression from Skyjump and Mumsy. They really struggled with Surge in that last game, but you have to pick your fights wisely. You don't want to put yourself in an even worse situation as the games continue.
And traditionally, Skyjump and Momsy have been the team that just actually gets a third-party profit whenever they're challenging others on the map, but those opportunities just not presenting themselves here today. Other teams kind of fluctuating with their rotational paths, and another one that's been impacted from the start because of that early split. Tinka resigns. Chap, Flixie, they still have to figure out who's going to actually come out from this position.
Yeah, and because they split that drop, you kind of saw it in a moment. One of them is out of medium ammo. That's going to be Flixie. He's no longer going to be able to put pressure from up above. He does have the Chaos Reloader shotgun, so he can fight back, but that go ahead and controls, or at least changes a little bit of what they're able to do here. They can no longer continue to fight safely, so they have to disengage and find a little bit of more resource.
King and Tails surprised the world yesterday with their qualification into this final with a big win. Started off the day ruining the party for the NA Central champions, Venom and Curve. And now looking to make waves here again in game 3. Oh dear. What do we have here? Vidil and Ju. Ju taking Reason out. Friendly fire going on.
It's like in those moments, you can just tell the crowd's not really sure whether to be happy or sad, but ultimately, only one can survive at the end of it all. And for Vidil and Ju, they've managed to come out on top, but will it be short-lived? Because Kanata, Victor V, creeping around the corner, checking to see whether or not they can get into a better position to find the opening tags.
And for a team from NA West, where they typically stayed at Sandy Strip, in order to get a lot of their Storm Surge on that region, they were uncontested. So a huge difference maker coming into the weekend, having 2 other teams land there. Games 1, Games 2 didn't go their way, and now they're forced to flip the script, trying to get a lurk play. They probably heard the noise in the distance, and they're trying to go.
Not only that, but Kanata and Victor V, they are so exposed. If any other teams just happen to get a little bit of leverage, a little bit of height, they'd have the chance to see that these two are out in the open right now because they don't want to make any sound. They can't really afford to toss out a build. They want to ensure that Ju and Vidil are completely caught off guard.
Vidil and Ju, though, from the way they're playing, seems like there's some sort of inkling something is being cooked up here. And I hope they persistently stay on top of it, and they will. The jig is up. Kanata and Victor V will look to dip as they realize there is no free opportunities here.
Curve and Veno, game 1. Didn't necessarily expect to get lurked on the south side of Battlewood Boulevard. Ever since then, I feel like they've been put on notice, Taco.
A lot of their tactics have definitely revolved around their fighting potential. Both of these players are able to deliver some big blows and some big clutches, but at the same time, you can't factor out the competition, and it's scaling up with every single match that goes by because everyone's looking for the perfect adaptation.
Lurk after lurk here. Thomas HD and Focus trying to do the same things. LB Works and Bot, they're the ones up above on the mountain, but the Bush just hiding their exact location. So Thomas and Focus, they're gonna have to take what little information they currently have here and try to figure out how they're gonna run away with it in this play. Kind of moving from the bottom up. There's a huge height advantage, natural terrain, so they can see it. But they might have spotted out Bot, just kind of run off to the side. This could be a chance for them to try to take a 2v1.
Yeah, they've got to know that there's a solo in the bush now. But he's also aware of the potential of someone to come. If they can find the right timing, this will be a great 2v1 opportunity. They might also just patiently wait for Bot to return. No, they'll jump into the bush. They want that damage. They want that fight. They saw bot leave the hill and decided it was their time to strike.
Yeah, at least bot came back, trying to draw back a little bit of that pressure. They did land some damage though, so that's the combo that's building for Thomas and Focus. Good shots connecting yet again, but the distracting third party bringing everything to a halt in this moment. Thomas, Focus, they immediately box up on top, realizing we're in the zone. You still got to come to us. And now they have a moment here where there's a little bit of an advantage here in terms of positioning.
Their prey just barely managed to escape. Thomas was trying to find that full box in, but it just didn't net itself in his favor. And now, because of the shots ringing through from Battlewood Boulevard, it's just going to be another delay, another slow down. And they've had a rather solid start when they've made it out of Riptides, but it's evident that they are on the hunt for some very aggressive plays.
This was my fear. With new Sanctuary, if Resigns and Chap couldn't figure things out between themselves, would things start to get messy deep into the storm? And that is what we're seeing take place here. They can't close it out. He's able to escape, but he will continue to hunt.
Yeah, and it puts you just in a tough situation. Whether you win these fights or lose these fights, they're so drawn out. You're trading damage. Even if you get the eliminations, Taco, you're not necessarily going to be above that damage threshold. And with the zone pulling far away, it's going to be hard to get it back.
They've just spent so much time fighting and dealing with each other that they've left both of themselves in just worse positions, because even for Resigns, even if he makes it for the reboot opportunity, Chap Flixie, they're also still left in a world of hurt because so many other teams are going to look to try and hold them captive inside the storm, not giving them the proper opportunity to rotate through the edge of zone.
Last time we see Curve and Venom kind of lurked in a different situation, trying to play safe. But as we tune in now, empty item slot, but they're going okay. On the other side, though, may not be necessarily the same. Malibuca dropped down to just a sliver of HP. Vico, though, able to save the day, pick up that knock, get the elimination, and is now giving Malibuca valuable time to heal up before they have to make their journey to zone.
Hey, go Vico, go after all, and this is exactly what the young superstar needs to be doing. Malibuca on the ropes, and just like that, Vico able to turn it around.
I mean, if these guys are going to come out fighting and Malibuca is going to come out swinging, it takes the pressure for Vico to deliver. But when he has to, he'll hit shots just like that. Darman Deemish, a second chance in this lobby. They started the day on top. Their second place competition took them out in game number 2. And here in game number 3, they'll look to recapture that first place position.
Just pulling it back to where things actually ended up here for Chap and Flixie, and Tyler just caught lacking, had no idea that there's still a team sitting around New Sanctuary.
Yeah, Chase is already down, though. Minus is going to be able to certainly clean up that elimination. Siphon can allow him to survive just a little bit longer inside of the zone before he has to pop any HP. And I like what Hobby's doing here. Instead of fighting a 1v1, giving him a chance to possibly win, he just converges back onto a Minish. They get into the same box and realize, hey, there's a huge strength in numbers. We're up on the Storm Surge. We didn't take much damage. Let's just take this moment as a win.
Practically 5-5-5-2 on their next entrance for that rotate. So we'll see what happens next. But Peter Bot Boyo, quiet start. A different strategy. It's very foreign to see these two not with a whole slew of eliminations already built up in their counter, but they have clearly devised a plan and a strategy that revolves very heavily around playing inside of the storm.
Zone pulls far, and they're waiting. You can see Pete is in the base waiting for players to rotate past, but unfortunately for Pete, those players aren't going to come in, so there is a good chance we see another game where these guys are down and out of luck when it comes to Surge, desperate to try and jump into somebody's box. Kanada and Victor V, we saw their desperation earlier when they were trying to make plays happen. Now the situation has worsened. They have to make something happen right now.
This is the only decision they can make, but it's going to be one they're going to regret. Kanada goes down. Matt and Nicole were able to get that elimination, and these guys have been the unsung heroes. They qualify out of NA. They make some big plays. They make it from the upper bracket, and now they're shining here in Game 3. First elimination, sometimes that's going to be the hardest, but Victor V finds him so down in the depths when it comes to damage. Almost almost 400 overall. That's almost 2 full eliminations worth of damage, and that's where it gets tough, because even if you're able to take down Cole, you're at a disadvantage, 2v1, and this one's gonna be tough.
Victor V can't even afford to stall. The Surge is just going to start ticking away at his HP, and for Matt and Cole, they've already gotten exactly what they were after. Sure, Vic's able to pick up the splashes, but what else could he do with it?
They need to be careful on Victor V's side and on the other side with Peter and Poyer lurking in the zone behind them. Veno and Curve, what do they have for Resign and Tinker? A great little lurk play. We've seen Veno do that many times over the years, and he did that as well in the NA finals, and Tinker and Resigns clearly weren't prepared for it.
We've seen how things fared for one half of that stalled out engagement over by New Sanctuary. Flixie Chap trying to see if they can change their fate though. Opening starts, seems like it begins with Liam.
Yeah, 35 below the damage threshold. Looked like Liam was going for the reboot. He gets denied. But you notice they went from barely below the damage threshold, getting that elimination, to barely above. So for Chap and Flixie, when it comes to Storm Surge, they're not safe just yet. Even Agers now winning that game, going and kind of trying to ride that momentum. It gets cut short, 151, and it's active Surge.
Just ever since the start, when you're not able to fully survive that off-spawn contention, you're going to be left trying to play for the leftovers. And for Agers and Ritual, it's very obvious that this zone pool has not done them any favors either. They've had to go cross-country, but Agers looking to get fraggy with it. Won't get the shots to connect, though. Cringe and Twi instead come out on top.
It was always going to be a difficult game with how things started off for them, even after that impressive win they got, but this duo is not out of it just yet. We will be hearing more from them over the course of this day. But for now, they'll leave it to the rest of the lobby to cook up for us. For Deal and Drew looking to do just that. Drew already starting the game with one of them onto Reason, and they will look to quickly improve on their standings. Just 30 points so far, but plenty more to grab in this one.
Yeah, almost 400 above the damage threshold, so they are looking good. No necessity to peek. Curve and Veno, same thing. 5 elims, 900 plus damage. Gets cut short a little bit as they kind of break through the builds, but you see in Veno and Curve persistence here. They see a pile of loot, but instead of just running in, getting greedy, they're playing very, very calculated.
This might be where they fare best, though. They want to be in the thick of it because that's where they'll get the best opportunities to shine. Catching players off guard, trying to work their way through those lower layers undetected by the teams that are already boxed up a little bit higher up on height. And speaking of which, Shark Teeny already trying to get that little bit of leverage because they need to find a solution to being underneath the surge threshold.
You know how this one goes. 130, 153. Storm Surge begins to activate. Every 7 seconds, Teeny and Shark will be stricken with 25 damage shield or HP, and it does not turn off until there's 40 or less people in the game. Right now, their strategy looks to be to out-heal it, but now Shark is out of heals. Now he's put on a timer that will not last forever.
But look who's avoided almost everything along the way. Acorn and Bolts. Teeny has fallen, though. No opportunities to bring this one back. His body being carried away there by Ju and Badil. Shark looking to see if he could try to scramble, pick up the pieces, but as a solo with no HP, what more can he really do?
He doesn't look like he has the answers to that question, Taco. With just 1 HP remaining, Shark and Teeny will leave their first place spot up for grabs.
So many of our Titans go down early, and you're kind of seeing how Teeny was able to go down, but Dio and Ju just caught him lacking, edit the wall, and get that elimination. Even during all that chaos, we saw Cold and Rapid went down as well. Veno's gonna get knocked. Curve trying to be a hero. 1 knock's already there, trying to get the second onto Sky, but he gets denied that opportunity. Rightfully so. He goes right back into the box, trying to get the revive onto Veno with his own pushing him in. He can't be the hero he needs, but there's still a knock right in front. Curve trying to save the Siphon for the last moment.
Curve needs it to kick in now or never, but he can't afford to see if he can find another shot. Eventually, though, he might be saved just in the nick of time, but when you've got 2 Titans of the lobby, 2 major champions going head-to-head, now's the time to see who's really on top.
And Curve might not have been able to save his teammate, but Sky certainly could. Stroll back in the game and back with a chance to make things happen. Curve with just 17 HP needs to tiptoe his way around, and he will be caught out. And so it's up to him now to get things done. On the front side of the zone, Shadow and Virgo positioning. Pixie looking to do the same. Malabuka, Vico. We've seen how strong they've been so far today. Will this be their opportunity to take first place?
They're trying to get that whole side of the zone, but they get cut short, cut off, kind of tagged up all at the same time. Vico's going to go down. A lot of pressure has just been put on Malabuka's shoulders. 132 points. They're so close to the top of the leaderboard, they can taste it as he tries to steal another one away. But that one's going to go to Momsy. The flank comes in. He doesn't hear it. Swizzy and Pixie take him down.
Swizzy and Pixie are primed and ready. They are just looking back, spraying down every single one of these teams. All of the players that are just a little bit too late to the punch. And now Pixie, Swizzy, with the damage having been done, they're ready to see whether or not they can make their move towards frontside.
If these guys can rise to the occasion today, it would be exactly the type of story you expect out of Swizzy and Pixie. Peterbot playing the storm now as all this madness ensues. To end the deal, they are looking to take this game for their own. They don't care who's in this lobby. They want the high ground and they will keep it for now. But that is just for now. They have to continue to hold it and apply the pressure below.
They're feeling like they're on cloud 9 right now. The entire arena cheering them on, but they draw their attention to Shadow and Virgo, that second height team. Anybody in that position could use a shockwave and disrupt everything they have going on.
You can tell though from the way they're playing it, they don't have the materials, and so the chop will come through. It's Cammy, it's Hari. We've seen them do that so many times before, and so it'll be up to Badil now to clutch up.
But this is a spot that Badil's been in so many times already, and now here today, Badil trying to see if he can strike through, but his shield is so low, he's fully cracked. The movement is crazy, but he's left tumbling down the hill, trying to see if he can get out of sight. Pablo is falling, Kindling right next to him, but Badil, he's not gonna be able to get the shots. He wants to try and make it through, but all of these pre-existing builds just forcing him to make the effort. Still, Badil moving forward. Why isn't it? And Badil brings him down.
How does he keep finding a way? He keeps on doing it. Badil, this is ridiculous. What a game from him. Scroll will finally put an end to it, but Cammy and Hari, after chopping height, will look to finally make a play for it for themselves. Shadow and Virgo hold on, but not for long. They get wiped clean, and Scroll down below has a tough Polish duo up, trying to take this game.
In fact, they're the only duo actually up in this game. Scroll, solo, Pixie, solo. Scroll's being the focus right now from up above, trying to expand, but he's running out of material, and he's running out of material fast. Hari, Cammy, they realize he's building out a Wook. That's a sign of weakness, and they want to take over. They can't let this opportunity slip from their fingers from one team to the next. Pixie gains their attention. Scroll goes up!
But Scroll finds nothing. He realizes Cammy's in a metal box, and then there's Pixie all alone on the ground. Scroll with the siphon just in the nick of time. But Scroll, he's still got to keep going forward. Hari never gets a chance to see it coming, but it doesn't matter because Cammy had his back.
They are one of the most dangerous teams coming into this event. Contested, uncontested, that is not a problem for them. When it comes to big moments, when it comes to big events, Cammy is one for certain that shows up when it matters most.
Cammy, Hari, stand up. Düsseldorf, please give it up for Cammy and Hari. What an intense final moment, but you were in it together. How were the communications as you tried to take Solo Scroll down?
I mean, it was the perfect game. We just chopped height like 3 times, killed like 4 people because of that, and it was an easy game.
That's what everyone is saying so far, but everyone online has been looking at the lobby list and saying this might be the most stacked FNCS LAN ever. Do you agree, Hari?
Yeah, it's so stacked.
So when you look at the lobby list, who do you think is your biggest competition right now?
Darm and Dimash.
Darm and Dimash, and is that because you're sat right next to them and they're also your friends from Poland?
Yeah.
And so if it could be you or them, I'm guessing it's got to be you who wins this now.
Of course.
So Cammy, you know what it's like to be under pressure. You know what it's like to be on day 2 and in contention for the top. But do you have to change things up so you don't get snaked out there?
I mean, we're conned, so like we just need to focus on that. Need to focus on winning off spawns and try to get some more good games.
Well, we're going to take a short break while these guys focus up. Please, Düsseldorf, give it up for Cammy and Hari!
100. I got healed. That went well. I'm popping a med bit. Wait, short. Got 6 builds. No, maxed up.
Wait, if you're mid, wait.
100. 100. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Fortnite fan, welcome back to the summit once again. We get another victory royale out of game 3, and if I could put my EU bias mask on for one, say, yeah, my boy, EU at the top. That's right, Tokata. Tokata.
I heard you repping NA, what, 1 match ago? Literally last match? You think you can just switch up that quickly, Z?
Yes, I can. Oh, sorry, I left the EU bias mask on there for a second. Listen, I'm going to be biased on whoever wins. I just want everybody to have a great time. Shout-outs to Cammy and Shari, rather. What an incredible game. Packed with eliminations, packed with high ground, packed with pushing other duos who are trying to take high from them out of the way.
Classic Cammy high take right here. Looking back, chopping it on out, sneaking in the backside of this zone as well. All of that LAN experience that Cammy has paying dividends for him right now. The scroll high take was almost crazy, but they held him off to Carter. And what they did really well here was they took high at, again, the right time at the right way.
I love seeing this from Cammy and Hari, now bumped up that leaderboard. But if I think to specifically how this duo plays, you can go back to the 2022 Invitational where Cammy and Seti ended up winning. Issue is they weren't known for playing very well mechanically, for getting those eliminations, but now Cammy paired up with Hari. I'm seeing much more confidence. I'm seeing them pushing. I'm seeing them play for height, get those eliminations, and you know, it's working incredibly well.
I don't know if you saw what I saw. Sky and Stroll have suddenly broken into the 200-point threshold. Oh, wow. Finding that second place against, obviously, a solo situation against Cammy and Shari, rather. Wow. This team continues to do it. I don't know how they do it, but Scroll, if we're going to put Scroll in solo clutch situations, I'm down. I'm down.
Look, I'm down to put either of them in solo clutch situations. Stroll, game 1, got 52 points as a solo, once again clutching it out. But the best part is, Sky is just as capable at solo clutching. In the EU Major Finals, he had the 3rd most solo clutch points. They can play together as a duo. They can play as solos. They were the most consistent team on EU going into those finals. Sky and Stroll have everything to take home this competition.
What a shot that was, though. Unreal. There was a moment just before that as well where Sky was down and Scroll waited. He almost used Sky's down body as bait. For the player that was coming up to take them out and continue that through. So that combination of not only mechanical ability, not only calmness in those endgame situations, but just the brain, the thoughts, thinking, how can I make the most out of this endgame in our current situation? There's a reason why these guys were favorites going into this weekend, and it's looking very, very good for the Sky and Scroll lovers out there.
What's crazy, too, using the body as bait, that was actually against Vidil, right? Vidil running through as a solo. We could hear the crowd going crazy. Even Vidil coming in and finding these eliminations, against such high-profile duos like Sky and Stroll is crazy.
Yeah, and it's what Vidil's been doing all season long. He's had this sort of like solo clutching prowess, this sort of second wind, if you like, when it comes to solo clutching, because seemingly in every single tournament that he's playing in, he's having these amazing solo clutches. And on a stage like this, in this sort of format, getting those extra few placement points, getting those extra eliminations to Carter is going to be super valuable for him.
100%. They're bumping themselves up the leaderboards. Remember, Vidil back in 2024, he was the best performing duo, German duo alongside Reason, now paired up with Ju. They have been looking incredibly strong on home turf. I'm excited to see if they can continue that momentum forward in the later matches today.
Teeny Sharks, 2nd place, but Chino and Pablo Wingo up 4 places. Mini Minor, this 2nd place. I mean, honestly, Sky and Scroll aren't that far away, but they are trying to make a statement, right? They're like, hey, you're doing good. We're going to stay very close by, though.
Yeah, it's where Chino Pablo operate. This is exactly where you want to have them. These endgame situations, hit to hit. If you looked at the drop map going into today, you'd almost write them off. That sort of triple contestation and script. But when they make this endgame situation, when they're in these low to mid ground layers, they are just almost so in sync together. They're playing off each other so well. And this is something that we spoke about to them in an interview. They were sort of saying, yeah, if we make these endgames, Takata, we're going to have a lot of fun. And that is exactly what they're doing.
What I find interesting about Pablo and Chino is if you look at their expectations from 2024, which was duos going into 2025, they were low. They weren't making the major finals. They didn't make global championships. But then they were one of the best trios in 2025. So going into this year, their expectations have been significantly high, and they have not disappointed, performing at the top at the EU Major Finals, and now once again topping the charts on an international stage here at the Major Summit. They are meeting those expectations currently, but we still got more games to play out.
I'd love to go back to the standings really quickly, right? I want to see that 2nd page. So keep in mind, we know right now 98 points is where Acorn and Volts sit, but just below, look at this. Cammy, Shari up 32 places, a single game difference. And look, just right behind, Focus, Thomas HD, Akira Karama, so many names. Guys, this competition is still very much alive. Obviously, we've had a few games, but it'll just take a single game to change everything.
Oh, absolutely. And when Shari and Cammy actually switched up their drop spot towards more of the northeast side of where they're originally landing, I had a few questions. I was like, is this actually going to be the right move? Is this going to be the play that they want to make, particularly with all that contestation going on around them? And the first 2 games, yeah, it wasn't great, really. They weren't able to show us what we know they can do, particularly Cammy, known as the land goat. This is the area in which he is known to operate very well. And for those guys, moving up in the standings after that 1 game is absolutely crucial. But in an 8-game format, Takasper, it becomes very difficult because you have to continue then to do that throughout the day.
Yeah, Cammy on EU has been a player that's kind of been known to stay ahead and adapt incredibly quickly when there's a new season, when there's new strats, new metas. Cammy is going to be on top of that. I was also looking, Thomas HD and Focus close by. They were actually surprise contested in the last match. Now, they ended up having the upper hand. They came out on top there, but there have been a lot of last-minute switch-ups, so I'm definitely starting to feel that pressure.
Absolutely, man, and I'd love to tip my hat to Shadow and Virgo. I'm sure Vivid, wherever you are, is probably making some noise. Currently our best performing NA team. They kind of showed up for a bit of that last game, and then Cammy and Shari said, get out. But still, I love seeing this duo, right? They had that crazy call yesterday. Hey, yeah, we'll go ahead and win this next game, and then went on to do so. So I'm excited to see what else they can bring, right? Like, just look down to the second to fourth. The points are still pretty dang close. I feel like once we get into that 8th game, man, it's going to be really, really close.
Yeah, I mean, looking at that, Shadow Burger, you mentioned it right there, Zeke, 4th place for these guys. It's so tight in and around that area, so it's going to be absolutely vital for them to actually continue to develop and have performances like they have been having. We saw it right here. I think it was Virgo that was up on top of High, actually got chopped on down and then took a lot of that fall damage. So this is where their game started to crumble. But it's something that I spoke about yesterday in the lower bracket. If you can just take High, ride it out for a good amount of time, you're still going to get some really nice placement points. And in an 8-game format, it's going to be absolutely vital to keep those games coming in, because if you can stay consistent, it's going to do you well to good.
If anyone's going to take Height, it's going to be Virgo and his Shadow. I mean, if we look back at the player lounge, Virgo was winning every single realistic creative match. I mean, mechanically, he has what it takes. But then you look at the predictions, you look at all the co-streamers, you ask online, and they're putting, you know, NA's somewhat last hope per se, Acorn Rituals, you got Cold Rapid. They don't have Shadow and Virgo up there at the top, so I love to see them currently in 4th place, showing what they're truly capable of.
Dude, and I gotta say, Swizzy, I see you, all right, global champion. I see you sneaking your way just outside that top 5. Pixie right there as well. We are really starting to heat up, right? So many duos are starting to come online. I think they're all thinking the same thing. That trophy, we have to fight for this title. And also, Minnie, we can't forget as well, top 15 auto quals to global championships later on, but this is a global champion, right? He's trying to prove, hey, I won that for a reason.
Yeah, and this is a team that have sort of played with their backs against the walls for a lot of this year and a lot of this season. And, you know, it's kind of surprising coming out of that global championship where Swizzy ended up winning and Pixie, of course, came second. So I think this kind of like one-day format actually hinders them a little bit, because this is a team that are really good at looking back at what they did wrong and then going ahead and improving based on what everyone else is doing. They'll have that halftime break to go ahead and do that, so expect big things from them in the second half as well, but a really solid start from them there in 6th.
Yeah, I don't think anything can stop Swizzy. I mean, tragic end to 2024, came right back in 25, becoming a global champion. Got here a day before his tournament, no sleep, but was unable to make it through. And then in the first match of that lower bracket, all it took was 1 game. They took home the win, qualified themselves to today. And, you know, now hopefully Pixie, Swizzy, they're feeling more well-rested. They're more locked in, ready to go. And I mean, seeing them bumping themselves up this leaderboard, I'm excited to see if that continues.
I think it's really funny too, because like if you think about it, day number one rather, you got to play 6 games and be the top 25. So he's like, okay, do I play 6 games and then top 25, or do I just drop down in the lower bracket, win game 1, and then go back to sleep? Crazy story. I don't obviously know if that's true, but in my head canon, that's absolutely what happened. Vidil as well in that last game, ultimately shut down by Sky and Scroll, right? Kind of being used as bait there, but by himself, I mean, dude, he looks so good right now, Mini Minor. Obviously, eventually kind of had to play this out as a solo, but he looks good.
Early height take, the crowd went crazy.
Yeah.
Everyone was hyped. They saw them on height. They saw the stars aligning for Dew and Vidil. And this was the moment where it all came crumbling down. But remember, Vidil here going up against arguably the best team in the world, especially in this domain in the low ground situation. Only on 4 HP, absolutely cooking. And this is what I talked about earlier. Scroll, that thinking ahead, 200 IQ play, waiting for Vidil to go ahead and find that finish. I think he did get the points for it though, so that's a really nice solo clutch from him.
Yeah, I mean, being on home turf, having the crowd cheering your name, roaring for your success, I'm sure it definitely plays a big part. But Vidil is one of those EU legends. He's been around for a very long time. He knows what it takes to compete both online and international competitions. Paired up with the Jew. I'm excited to see them close out today.
Oh, Vidil do it as well. Where's the finger guns?
There we go. There we go.
Was he about to dab?
He was about to dab. It's, way back many years ago. But you saw him there for a minute, locked in, right? He's like, hey, the job's not done. I have to keep pushing on forward. But friends, I'm getting the call right now. Casters are ready. The next game is ready. So Casters, over to you.
You know, I like the way Zeke just said that. Job's not done. And for Sky and Scroll, they might have about a 70-point lead, but it's exactly that. 5 games left, job's not done.
Yeah, but when it's Sky and Scroll and you start looking at the point differential that's already taking place, all I can think about right now, Levin, is what happened in Major 1 Grand Finals. But first up, let's see what actually takes place here in Game 4.
Game 4, the last game before halftime. And if you guys are no strangers to Fortnite competitive, where you're at on the leaderboard means so much. If you're going after first, you might have to have a big game here. If you're settling for that top 15, you just need to remain consistent. Thomas, Focus, they know they got lurked on at the start of that last game, and they're just being a little bit more aware.
No surprises this time around, or for now at least. We have to see what takes place elsewhere. Looks like these guys might get a game uncontested. Epic Well and Pump.
Ooh.
And it looks like the Middle Eastern duo has decided. Oh, well, they don't get landed on, but they do get shot out of the sky. And there will be more shooting out of the sky here as these two duos run it back.
It's just the nature of the game when it comes to these drop spots. Sometimes you have to glide in, and Flixie's just trying to go for the chest, gets the Thunder Burst, but not the elimination. 2v1, Tinka and Resigns to strength in numbers, and that was a little bit of a mismatch. Chap went underneath. He left his teammate alone by himself, and sometimes that's the only second you need.
Sometimes you just have to give up the sacrifice, though. Flixie fully understanding that they just weren't going to be able to pull this one back. It's better to just have Chap try and play things through. He can look for the reboot later on, but for Hero and Focus, they've got to be feeling great about the fact that they might actually get to experience a game. They've been dealing with Epic Whale and Pump, and we can go back to see where things really started to take off for them. Surprise conning Virgo. That's a bad news Bears moment, but Hero not finished with it.
Hero getting both of those eliminations, and honestly, sometimes it takes one switch up of a drop spot to get things rolling in your favor. And already we'll see how they rise up the leaderboards after this one. Triple contested still over towards Sandy's strip. It's Chino and Pablo that find themselves in a close quarters combat situation here. Victor V and Kanata on the west side of Sandy. So right now, it's gonna be Fakun by himself, just having to clutch up or just stay alive until he can get his teammate back.
This is a dispute that has been taking place since Friday. Pablo and Chino have non-stop been looking to bring down Fukun and Minifio. They nearly succeeded in yesterday's competition, but it just wasn't enough. This time, though, they've settled everything once and for all. So Game 4, they'll just have to deal with Victor B and Kanata at Sandy.
And that is a balance that I think they are willing to live with, one that I think they can find success with. And so if there's anybody that can give Sky and Scroll a run for their money at the top of the leaderboard, we know it is Pablo and Chino.
We also know what Thomas is made of, especially when it comes to international tournaments. 92 points so far. Not necessarily the start that they have wanted, but still plenty of time to kind of pick up the pace. Kazi trying to disengage underneath, focus on the chase, shot after shot connecting until he finally gets that first knock. The elimination is there, and while on the other side, Focus cleans up one. Thomas now trying to stall out this fight, waiting for his teammate to come back, using their numbers to their advantage, and just firing off on all cylinders. Damo by himself, but not for long, as he gets sent back to the lobby with Kazi.
It's just obvious that that Oshi duo was running on fumes here. Unfortunately for them, Thomas and Focus do take full advantage of them being pushed so early, but Poyo, Peterbot, this is unfamiliar territory now.
NA fans, look away. This is not what you want to be watching. Poyo, who's been the more reliable, it feels like today, as far as staying alive in the duo, goes down at the hands of the Frenchies, and so that leaves Pete to fend for himself and keep this duo fighting in this tournament.
Yeah, and that's something when you kind of look at the stats of Peterbot and Poyo on day one, you know, kind of leading in damage right there with eliminations, but where they placed on the leaderboard is not where you would think a team like Peterbot and Poyo would place. So it's not necessarily the actual fights and mechanics, it's the overall game plan.
So far a tournament to forget for them, but still plenty more to play. Chap has been able to keep himself in the game with a nice little lurk onto King.
That's exactly why Plixie knew he could trust his duo when he left off on a solo adventure here. Yapko and Panzer, though, profiting from what's taking place over by Latte, and they've got Cooper directly in their sights.
Yep, they were able to kind of angle out Reef by himself, and now they land a big shot onto Cooper. 2v1, they're continuously trying to push in. Cooper's time is definitely limited here, the way Yapko and Panzer have been playing. They need the points. They have to try to catch up and move up that leaderboard if they want at least top 15, but Cooper's keeping them on the chase up until now, where Cooper finally falls. And just like Taco said there, that decision to split with Ages of Ritual not working out.
And we have seen Yapko and Panzer are not afraid to fight anybody in this quadrant of the map. If they spot a weakness, they will strike and they will hit hard.
It really feels like they've been playing a lookout to see who's going to be the duo that gets pushed further north from Latte Landing off the initial off-spawn contention. And every single time, whether that's been Ritual and Agers or whether that's been Reet and Cooper, you'll see Yapko and Panzer throwing their names into the mix.
As the dust settles, Reason and Noah, we've seen kind of two sides of this coin. Moments where they like to get aggressive, try to find eliminations. And then moments where they play passive, just like this, lurking. We know these teleporters, a lot of teams like to traverse through, avoid all the chaos that goes above and on the island, but sometimes it ends up being one of those plays where you run into nobody throughout the course of hiding down there.
It looked more like they were set up banking on someone actually taking that ascender directly down to them, obviously hoping that they could get the advantage off the right side peaks, but Cringe and Twy, they'll be the closest to it. Whether or not they actually take the bait, though, that's a story left to be settled.
For Shark and Teeny, a game where they will have to prove to everybody watching that they are really here to play. We've seen them win, but after last game's surge disappointments, the question does become, when this team faces a challenge on this stage, can they rise to overcome it?
But what really makes things so exciting is that we've seen EU challenge Sky and Scroll before. You can never count yourself as safe, even when the match looks promising, because so many teams like Swizzy and Pixie all just kind of nestling in to these tucked away positions, utilizing every bit of terrain to their advantage.
And I think in the case of Swizzy and Pixie, they've almost been counted out by many, many people watching, and understandably when you look at how the year has gone, but that is too much talent to count out. Speaking of talent, Big Cold on the screen, picking Iyomzo up, and 4 Fields is not the spot you want to be fighting these two. This is their comfort zone.
It's also the opposite side of the map from where we would have anticipated a Iyomzo.
Solo for so long in this situation. There's been too many teams inside Squibbly and outside as well, so there's really been no chance for him to get that reboot.
But part of the problem for Peterbot is that taking that aggressive fight, that early motion up against Skyjump and Mumsy, and it not netting anything for them, it just left Squibbly up for grabs. And the moment that Team see real estate, they're going to start moving in. That's exactly what Rainy and Nalu have done. So Peterbot, he'll have his work cut out for him in terms of getting the reboot for Poyo in the first place and making it out of Squibbly Shores.
Okay, Aegis of Ritual making their rotation on over. Typically, you kind of see them use the long launch pad towards the backside of Latte Landing, but Yapko and Panzer actually ended up using it. I'm not sure Aegis of Ritual know they're there, and I'm not sure Yapko and Panzer are even going to try to dive down on them. Both of these teams need to get into the zone before they're eaten alive and damage being taken.
Far too far and away. It's the render distance that's just working to their advantage. They are gliding overhead. Agers and Ritual, there's not really a whole lot they can do about it either. They know they just got to keep moving forward into the next zone.
Uh-oh. Pump, don't see Epic Well anywhere in sight. And this is a situation that might make you a little nervous if you're Epic Well and Pump. You've been performing decently well throughout the course of the day. Almost in contention of one of those global championship spots, but then you run into Vico and Malabuka, and in the distance, there's a shark in the water. Him and Teeny lurking like we know they can. They go ahead and let at least one of those teams escape. So I'm wondering, do they know Pump is here, or are they just trying to eye that duo? But Vico, Malabuka, they're returning back. They want to fight. They know this is a chance that it could be Shark and Teeny.
This is a 2v2 we all want to see, and it's one that will be interfered with. Pump takes Malabuka down, and that just helps Sharkantini, and it gives him a bit more breathing room to stay in this game as well.
Not only that, but Pump absolutely stacked right now. The problem is he is just a solo. And for Sharkantini, there's always a bigger fish, and they're willing to make sure that they take out Pump entirely. The ultimate refresh, it's not even one that is a necessity, but they'll steal it anyway. All of that loot that once belonged to Malabuka now straight in Sharkantini's inventory.
2 is better than 1, especially when it's Sharkantini.
Yeah, but these fights right now just continuing all around the map. Cold and Rapid looking to get aggressive. Probably just going ahead and being okay with just getting damaged. Shield gone from Boko, shield gone from Cringe. Some shots did connect, but instead of getting greedy for Cold and Rapid, the game plan for them is simple. They don't need big game eliminations. They're just trying to get Surge, climb up that leaderboard, and then move into the zone. They don't want to get caught in all the chaos. They don't want to get caught below the damage threshold and control over their game, take it away.
They might not have a choice, though. Based off where we last saw Chino and Pablo, they might be able to get some decent tags into Cold and Rapid along the way. But Darm and Deemish, what had been a very promising start of the day, cut a little bit short because of losing some of that momentum off of early eliminations in Game 2. Sharkantini trying to do what they can to shut down some of their EU comrades, but Deemish and Darm never count these guys out. They'll take their time farming it up before they get involved.
We're already seeing a couple mythics in play as well. Thomas, the Iron Pump, you saw the Chaos Reloader there. There's Ju and Vidil from their drop spot. Kind of see them instantly edging towards the zone. 418 above. Even without elimination here, you can see they're being consistent when it comes to that damage. And everybody on the outskirts of the map slowly but surely making their way in. And they have to be quick because right now it is going to be a 1 tick, is going to move into a 2 after this, and then a 5. So positioning has to be perfect.
But there's so much else taking place. Peterbot with the comeback. This is exactly what he needed. A single opportunity. Everybody's better than Peterbot until it's time to be better than Peterbot. And QNDX, it looks like he might just find out.
And this could be the moment right here, not just for the eliminations in the case of Peterbot, but if he can get Poyo back, they at least have some loot. But again, I said the 5th zone, it moves to a 2-tick. Peterbot can no longer stay over towards Humble Hills. He has to move down towards Riptides, closer and closer towards the zone. But this could be his golden opportunity, just like that one there. QNDX gets caught off guard. Peterbot pounces and gets the elimination. But it wasn't easy. It does turn into a 2v1, and Phantom takes the sacrifice.
This is the Peterbot we want to see. Sniffing out opportunities to take advantage of players and striking hard. Can he get Poyo back in the game? If not, can he give us an all-timer Peterbot clutch?
Humble Hills right now getting more and more traffic running through. Ari down below. Don't see Cammy anywhere. Nalu and Rainy, they have no choice but to play aggressive here. 147 below the damage threshold, but that first shot is going to slow him down. Demon's coming in. It's going to make it that much harder, but Nalu hits a haymaker on one side, but another one breaks into the box. Now they're scrambling. Back to the lobby they go. Darm and Demis, a strength in numbers is real.
You hit hard, we hit harder. Darm and Demis cannot be toppled right now.
The best part of it all, I don't even know if they realized that Ari was still there, but Chap, Flixie, this is what they needed. They bind Poyo off of the reboot, and Peterbot might just go with it. Fortunately, Flixie's down yet again, but Chap has closed it just enough to revive his duo.
Now they get an opportunity here. They are getting chunked out by the zone, but look at the extra heals they were able to get. A mending machine not too far by. That was a huge success for Chap and Flixie in this game, and this is literally what we saw yesterday. Slow start to the day, but slowly but surely ramping up.
Doesn't matter though, everything that just took place for Darm and Deemish has steadily fizzled away in moments. It seems so promising. You get the refresh, you get the abilities, but they're just so below on Surge. Just took too much damage in the exchange overall from Rainy and Nalu, and it's apparently left